everybody? Welcome to Directly to You. It's the fanatixfour podcast, the 122nd episode of that very podcast. I'm AJ of fanatixfour. I'm joined by Parker of fanatixfour. We're collectively joined by Steve. I was about to call you Pete of LootPots.
Hello.
It's crazy how I almost called you Pete, and he's never been on this show.
Yeah, not a once.
But you can, as a listener, you can support this show by going to youtube.com/fanatixfour, twitch.tv/fanatixfour, and becoming a member or a subscriber, respectively, by paying $4.99. You get loyalty badges, you get exclusive emotes, you get gaming time with us, free Switch keys from time to time, you get access to our supporters-only Discord, which is a place where you could talk to Duncan and say yo a bunch of times, play video games, talk about how much you hate the battle system in Paper Mario Origami King, apparently. I don't know. I don't think that people are talking about that right now. You can go to the regular Discord for free by just clicking the link in the description. It's a great time.
Mm-hmm.
How you guys doing? You playing any video games that are not Paper Mario Origami King? We'll talk about that separately.
I've just been playing a bunch of Crosscode this week. I haven't played any Paper Mario at all, but I'm having a blast with Crosscode.
Yeah, I've been meaning to play that at all because I saw what's funny about that one is there's something. I know everybody says the art's very beautiful, and it does look like it's very beautiful, but also it seems kind of unsaturated from not actually playing it, but just from like top down, like similar to Ocarina of Time being very brown. In your eyes. That's a podcast joke for you. So I hope you get it. But like something about it seems like kind of more muted colors, and I don't know, like playing it, do you feel like it lives up to the hype as far as like being a beautiful pixel art game or not, or I don't know?
To me, the fact that it's the art wasn't really what drew me into it. It was the concept behind it. It was like so unique and original. But the artwork, I haven't found that it's muted. I don't know, maybe if it's just the screenshots or the video captures have been not coming out as well. But some of the areas I've found have actually been really impressive. But I think the real draw is definitely the story and not so much the gameplay, not so much the art style, but like there's tons of references in there as well. So if you're like someone who's massively into pop culture, I think you'll have a good time with it.
When you say the story, so I know what the concept is. I don't know what the story is specifically. So do you mean the story in specifically still the concept, or like in addition to the concept and like how that all plays out? Which I guess, yeah, what is the concept for those that don't know?
Yeah, but both. So the concept is you are a part of this world called Cross Worlds, which is an MMO, and everyone's playing the MMO apart from you. You play as an avatar who's lost her memory, and she's the only avatar who's not controlled by a player from the outside world. So everyone else logs on and assumes you're just another player who's like playing from a PC, but you're actually just a person who happens to be on that real world. So,
which is really funny because it's exactly the opposite. And like, I mean, I know that's the whole point, but like thinking about it, the fact that you actually are the only player-controlled character, but then all the other player-controlled characters explicitly aren't because it's a video game. I don't know. That's funny.
I didn't even think of that parallel. The first thing that went to my head was that, this is a Code Lyoko game.
I was thinking
you play as Aelita.
I was thinking, what's the anime that I'm thinking of? The one that everybody likes the first half of the first season, and then Sword Art Online. That's what I was thinking of.
Oh, also that too.
Mm-hmm.
Which is good.
Is there?
Sorry, go on.
Is there like a situation like that in that? Well, I don't know. I've never watched that show. No, in that show, because in Code Lyoko, there's Aelita who's stuck in the whole situation. She's stuck in the place, and they assume that she's part of the world, but she ends up not being part of the video game.
Gotcha.
Thing or whatever.
This seems Sword Art Online then is less exact, like one-to-one as Code Lyoko sounds like it is, because it's just like everybody's like in this VR MMO world kind of thing, and then they're all stuck in there.
And in Crosscode, is it like actually a game? Like, is it a thing that's like, this is fun, or is it like, is there some type of like real-ish happening?
No, it is very much like a game. You're essentially playing cross worlds, which is very Zelda inspired. So you go from like dungeon to dungeon solving these like environmental puzzles, but there's also like you need to do side quests and level up in between those dungeons. You won't be able to really get through the dungeon and defeat the boss unless you're at a certain level. So you can go away and do side missions, and they like make jokes that the side missions are things you would find in an MMO. Like I did one where I had to go get ice for someone who was making ice cream, and like the person who's helping me regain my memory was like, why couldn't the people that made the game just made the ice valuable asset rather than it needing to be the ice cream, which was pretty fun. And you can like talk to NPCs, and they'll like call the NPCs like generic NPC or something, who will like just talk to you about the weather and things. And there's tons of references to tons of pop culture things. Like Pete was pretty excited to learn there was like Avatar: The Last Airbender reference, where you can find one of the people in one of the villages. But yeah, there's definitely gameplay elements there. I'm having fun with the gameplay, but it's definitely the story, I think, and the concept of it that's the main draw.
That's cool. It's fun. There's a lot of games. I was talking with my wife Ashley about Undertale recently. She played just like a couple minutes of it when I was playing for the first time last year, and it's funny with games like that are kind of meta, and like, you know, it's like it's an RPG for people that have played a million RPGs before, so that you can kind of, it's, you know, makes in jokes about what RPGs are like. But for somebody who's never played that genre, it's like, I don't get it. Okay, cool, whatever. So that's funny. And it sounds like this is another one of those kinds of things, like pokes fun of itself and the genre and stuff while doing things that are new and creative. So
yeah, I think you have to be appreciative of MMOs or just RPGs in general in order to really get your money's worth out of the game.
Yep.
It's like that tweet thread that you and Max had. When you guys were like, this Seinfeld character, I'm like, huh? Yep.
True. But on that note, I've been playing Seinfeld the game. No, not really, obviously, because that's not a thing. But I did have the idea.
Maybe it is. You never know. But not on Switch.
If I might make a video of this one day in a long time, if something. But like, it would be fun to have sitcom games, because that's just not a thing that exists. Like Coffee Talk is the closest that I could. I mean, it's not, but like that sort of environment and stuff is, you know, sort of
what, like down. Where you're in a sitcom, or where you like make one?
Something. I think like, where you're in a sitcom and like every chapter is just like an episode of the show, and like, you know, in the same, not like copying an episode that already exists, but like Seinfeld or whatever, you know, those episodes are, well, you don't know because you said you've barely ever seen it. But the premise of them is it's like, Seinfeld. Okay, well, never mind.
We're in the same boat.
It's like a lot of other sitcoms in a lot of ways, where like the show is about nothing at all. It's just these friends and then like some kind of shenanigans. Yeah, exactly. That's like the thing. But it'll be like, you know, that Seinfeld goes on a date with some girl or something, and then he finds out that she only clips her fingernails on a Tuesday, and that's like for some reason this really big thing in their circle, and then they riff on it. Exactly. So, but something around that. I don't know. I'll keep workshopping.
There's like games that are like anime, like it's Final Fantasy Online. I think the first one is one of those games. I mean, yeah, not Final Fantasy, 13? Fantasy Star Online. Yeah. One of those games. I don't know if it's the first. I'd assume it's the first one because the second one's recently coming out here or whatever, like on Xbox and Switch and all that stuff. But anyway, like every beginning of a chapter has like the whole anime thing. It's like an opening and like last time on blah blah. Like it's an anime.
That's fun.
So like that, but for a sitcom.
Yeah. So I don't know. Could be fun. Or just do Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and we'll have a great old time.
It kind of feels like the previously things. Have you ever played Until Dawn?
No.
I've
watched people play it.
Okay, they do that exact same thing. It's like a horror like movie that you're essentially playing and walking through. And they're doing a new one. I can't remember the name of it, but it's set in like a Victorian town. I really like those games, and I guess you could definitely do that episodic thing with more of a lighter genre than killing people.
It's true.
I don't know what's lighter than killing people.
People die in sitcoms too.
It's just in silly ways.
Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's real. Sometimes Urkel has to go to therapy or something. But like, it happens, dude.
Yep. So I've been playing a little bit of a bunch of things this week. Number one, I beat A Link to the Past for the first time ever. I had never even played it at all in the past, but I started it back when SNES games came to Switch in September. Played a lot of other games and put it down. I had like just finished the first 3 temples, if you know what I mean. But yeah, then I just picked it back up this week, and I mean, it's not like it's crazy long either. I didn't 100% it, but just did a bunch of this stuff, and it was good. It probably took like, I don't know, I think my clock in it's at like 16, 17 hours or something like that. And I used walkthroughs for some of this stuff because I was like, I don't care. I'm just trying to get the experience of what it is and keep moving on to other games.
I mean, that's most people's experience, if we're being honest.
Yeah, which is funny to think about because normally that's just not something I do all that much. But especially with older games, I've just warmed up to being fine with it. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, now for sure. Like, like I'm much more willing to like, I'll throw in the tab like, all right, what's this for most things. But especially for older games, I'm like, I got other stuff to do, dude. I can't just be sitting. It's not part of the experience for me to like figure it out, you know? Like, I don't really care about that.
Yeah.
I don't feel accomplished.
Right. Yeah. Because it's also like, it's the whole like, and rewinds and save states and stuff like that. I'm also fine with it because I know that if I wanted to put in more time to it, I would be able to do all those things, but I just don't feel like it, and that's okay, you know. And I'm still getting. I'm sure I'm not getting as pure an experience.
Don't feel like it.
I'm sure I'm not getting as pure an experience of the game, but I'm okay with that with certain games. So because that's up to me to decide when to do that. But then also played a tiny bit of Donkey Kong Country. But then I wanted to mention these guys that came in from our buddies at Super Rare Games. Recent buddies, recent friends. But they sent them
new friends.
I got these in on like Tuesday or something. I played through. I realized I was like, maybe I should have unboxed them on the podcast, but I wanted to have played them some. So
yeah, because the main purpose of them was to make a video on the main channel. It makes sense to prioritize getting to the game, rather than not playing it. To unbox it.
So, but in any case, I mean, I'll talk about them more in a video at some point, but Graceful Explosion Machine, it's because anybody that's listening, I held up 2 physical games from Super Rare Games.
Just listen back to it in the future where you'll be able to like sense it through your high-tech headphones. And
exactly.
2116, dude.
But this is the first thing that I've gotten from Super Rare or Limited Run or anything like that. And so it's fun because it's got, I mean, it's, box and all that. But it's got a bunch of things in it. So it has like a manual that has pages and things that tell you about it.
Wow, I remember those.
Do they have color? Do they have color?
Yeah, that's a bunch of color, y'all. Look at all that color. You don't even know. It also comes with, there's 3 like collector's cards or whatever, like trading cards of, I think each set only seems to have probably like 5. So you'd have to trade them with some other people to get the other.
How many cards are there altogether?
I think so. There's 5 altogether, but you only get 3. So it's like not super extensive to try to like, make it super hard to get all of them, but you have to try a little bit. And a sticker. And that's what it comes with. And then the game, obviously. So I did get to play Graceful Explosion Machine. Didn't get to play Smoke and Sacrifice yet, but I'll report back on that next week. But yeah, Graceful Explosion Machine is like a, it's a shoot 'em up, but kind of feels like halfway. Well, I mean, I guess most shoot 'em ups are kind of bullet hells as well. But it's some of both of those, and it feels different than most kind of shoot 'em ups because it's, well, not that I've played that many of them, so I wouldn't totally know. But like you have a bunch of different like kinds of attacks and stuff like that, and it definitely has like a high score purpose to it. But it's individual levels that have waves, and the maps are pretty much all side scrolling, but like loop back in on themselves, which I don't know, all this stuff outside of actually playing the game, maybe it just doesn't even sound like a whole lot of stuff, but I like that mechanic in any case because it gives me somewhere to like run away to in some cases, and because I'm not great at them, but I'm having a good time. So
are there like difficulty settings off the bat, or is it just a thing of like
That's a good.
one size fits all. Whoever's best at that particular design.
I didn't notice difficulty settings on there, but it does have like combos and stuff like that. So you're trying to get a high score, and then you upload those to a server and all that thing. So, but maybe you unlock difficulty settings because there was some other option that was locked down at the beginning. So I'll have to check what that is, and I'll report back next time. And then, like I said, Smoke and Sacrifice. I haven't gotten to start yet, but I'll play that before next week and say my thoughts. Good. And that's everything I played except for Clubhouse.
Know what that game is. I know.
I don't really either. It's RPG-ish. I think, yeah. It's an RPG, which I happen to like.
RPGs. It's true, you do. I know
Steve, something you can know about me is that I happen to like RPGs. There you go.
And not so much the side-scrolling shoot-em-ups.
I mean, I like it. I just don't have very much experience at all. So it does seem more approachable just because of like how colorful it is and stuff too. I don't know if here's for people that are looking. Look how colorful that's not even focused at all.
It's real reflective too.
Yeah. So
this is a video one. Audio listeners, go to youtube.com/directly to you.
Suddenly my camera went out of focus because of that. So now I'm all blurry. But yeah, what about you, AJ? What you been playing besides Paper Mario?
I'm playing Smash, dude.
Nice.
And also Pokemon. That's the rotation right now. I need to like go through, well, I'm probably not going to do that, but part of me wants to go through and be like, okay, let me finish up all the like games that I like got to the very end
Luigi's
of.
Mansion.
Like, all right, so exactly. Smash, you know, it's like, okay, Luigi's Mansion, I'm on the last thing or last couple floors or whatever, but like Smash exists or a DLC. It's always a DLC character that does it, honestly, because it's like I'll sit there and be like, all right, there's nothing else to play, I'll play this all the way through, and that's what I want to do. And then a new DLC character comes out. This time it wasn't a Nintendo game that it cut off, though. I was playing The Last of Us, and then Min Min came out, and I was like, well, dude, like there's no reason for me to like because at least with Luigi's Mansion and stuff like that, like I can be like, all right, I'll play less Smash because this is a Nintendo game, and maybe I can make a video out of it or at least talk about it on the podcast. But The Last of Us is just like a game I was playing just to play it. And it's like, you know.
Did you finish Last of Us, Steve?
Yeah, it was like it's my favorite game of the year so far. So you need to go back and play it. Yeah.
I'll play it someday.
How far did you get in it without like spoiling it?
You remember the part where everybody dies? He's right there.
Yeah, I'm on that part. I'm on the second day of when you get to the place with
okay, with the theater.
Yes.
Okay.
Guys, you spoiled so much of it for me just now.
There's more than one day. I thought that was the last one.
There it is. But cool, yeah. So we played that stuff, and then also today Paper Mario came out.
It did.
So there's that. I haven't played very much at all. Just because I've been working all day. I literally, I got to the big tree stump, if that means anything to anybody. So
did you do? So you just got to the tree stump, like I'm a tree stump, I need your help, and then you're like, all right, done.
Pretty much, yeah. He was like, all right, you can go on now and keep going. I was like, all right.
So you got to the part where he stops keeping you in the freaking lost woods.
Yeah. Although I did take a screenshot. I mean, whatever, it's not spoilers or anything. But so yeah, it's like a Lost Woods kind of a thing where like you go in the entrance and then out the exit, and it brings you back in the entrance and out the exit. And I guess you just do it 3 times, and then Olivia's like, what seems like we're getting really turned around in here. But before the 3rd time when she did that, after 1 time, and I was like, it, brought me in and then brought me back in. I was like, maybe I'm missing something in here. So I was like looking all around, and then I pressed X, which Olivia gives you a hint. And she was like, maybe we should just keep walking around. Like, maybe we should leave this room a couple of times. And I was like, okay. And then 2 times later, she's like, it seems like we're getting awfully turned around. I'm like, you just told me. I mean, I know she's trying to tell me the game mechanics, but still, it was very funny to have that interaction of her telling me one thing and then
I'm
Turns out she
farther
was
than
stupid.
that.
I believe it.
I got to you're going through that whole thing. You're trying to like get to the castle and stuff like that. And like find Luigi. I found Luigi.
Nice.
I got to that part. So I'm now on a different mission where it's like, all right, we got Luigi. Now let's do the main thing where it's like the castle's gone, dude. Like the side quest of saving your stupid brother. That's done. Now we got to save the castle.
What a dum-dum.
So I'm on the first part of that.
Cool. And then Steve, do you think you're going to get it at all? Or what are your thoughts of Paper Mario and all that right now? Were you ever interested? Did you lose that interest or tell us?
Yeah, I was interested. I've never played a Paper Mario before.
Same.
So I was kind of like, oh yeah, I do want to get into it. But then I've seen a lot of people complaining that the battle mechanics are not what they wanted and that there doesn't seem to be much in there. Like there's no leveling system now. And it really is you're just going in it for the story. And so maybe that'll be enough to draw me in, but I don't know if it's going to be, I'm going to get it right now and I need to get in on it. But then I said that about a lot of games, and then I see everyone talking about it and tweeting pictures and videos, and I want to play it. So I think I probably will end up getting sucked in, like I always do with every Nintendo game, and picking it up this weekend.
Nice. Honestly, yeah, that's wow. You said something that I resonated with very strongly, and now I can't remember. Like I don't know specifically if the story itself is the thing as far as like the plot, but probably more the. I don't know.
The character and the writing.
It's the writing, it's the
right,
dialogue, exactly. And it's that stuff.
Because
like I tweeted something earlier today where they said something in there where Luigi was like talking about the person that
the origami people
got him in the situation that he was in, and he was like, it was a shy guy, but like not a normal one. He was thick and edgy, and I was like, they didn't. That wasn't an accident, dude. They did that on purpose. It's like stuff like that. That's like all throughout this game. That's not really like as people that play Mario games. It's like they sometimes they'll do little tongue-in-cheek things that are like very tame, but in this game it's like it goes on that next thing. Like, oh, I didn't know that they could say that in a Mario game.
For what it's worth, I think like I mean probably the most not safe for work or whatever was Polygon pointed out, and it could be accidental, but it doesn't seem like it. Is that
it doesn't seem it.
There's items that you can collect. One of them is an item of a tall toad tower that definitely it looks very phallic if you look at it, and it's number 69 of the Itemopedia or whatever, which is like, I see what you did there, guys. And like no regular Mario game would ever have that kind of thing. So I will be interested to see. I mean, like you said, Steven, I don't know why I said Steven, but I said Steve the other times. But
I mean, it's
here
his
we are.
name.
It's
everyone switches between.
Lovely. I'm gonna do it the whole time. But in any case, what you were saying as far as like people sharing pictures and all that kind of stuff, I haven't seen as much of that today as, I mean, probably people are getting off work and are just going to pick it up now. So I'll be curious to see over the next like week or so, what the social media presence for Paper Mario is, because other games, it feels like like Animal Crossing, immediately just people were posting all sorts of stuff. But the fact that it's not really your individual experience, I guess, changes that and stuff. But I don't know. Yeah, I'm just curious to see how that turns out.
I think when people probably get to little tongue-in-cheek bits is when you'll probably see it all coming up. But I've seen more photos of boxes and people doing origami of the characters than I have actually of the game.
That's funny. So I didn't buy it yet. I played your copy because I downloaded it as I woke up this morning. If everybody doesn't know, it's the most useful thing is get your friends Switch login or their Nintendo Online login, whatever, so that you can download their digital games and they can download yours and stuff like that, because it makes trying out games so easy and it's great. Nevertheless, so I was playing it off yours
for the audio listeners.
How easy is that though? Like, does it mess anything up if you do it?
It doesn't mess a single thing. It's great. So here's pretty much.
So even if I might have been playing it when you did that, because I was on airplane mode
Oh, interesting.
when
I think I
playing
did it
earlier
when
today.
I was pretty sure you would be asleep. It was like at 9 a.m. my time or something like that. And I was like, probably AJ's asleep
I
right
think I
now.
was up. I think.
Oh,
I think I was-
interesting.
I think I was up.
So there you go. But yeah, so it's because I bought Fire Emblem Three Houses, and AJ played off of my copy of Fire Emblem Three Houses for almost the whole game, and
Yeah.
then he got a new Switch.
I got it. Yep.
Save went away.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, the process is like, it's literally, so Steve, if you and I wanted to do it, then you would create a new profile just with arbitrary information. Doesn't even matter what the profile is, but a new profile on your account. And then say, do you want to link this to a Nintendo account? And you say, yep. And then you put in my login information, and it switches it to being my icon, my name, and shows, and then you can go to re-download software and download any digital game that I've bought. And then you have to play it through that account. But as long as, even if it backs up my save data on my Switch to the cloud and backs it up to the cloud on your Switch, as long as I don't go into the cloud and press download cloud data, then it'll just keep those completely separate. And the only issue is I can't be logged on playing on that account while you play any game on my account. But that's it. Outside of that,
the only other
Okay.
thing that I noticed, so like in that scenario, it wouldn't work so much for online games.
oh, that's
Like,
that's very true.
So when with me and Parker, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing because like since I have Switch Online on my Switch and we're in the same region, it's just as like, oh, okay, you have Switch Online, it's fine. But because there's different regions, and I found this out because me and my brother started another file in Pokemon. If you have another account in a different region, you need to buy Switch Online for that region to play online with that game on that account.
Huh.
So
I feel like that probably
And
wouldn't
is that,
happen
like-
that often, but that's good to know.
it would only be that scenario if it's
Right,
like,
yeah, exactly.
if we wanted to give Max our profile or Steve our profile,
Then you
it would
couldn't
be
play
that.
online stuff.
Yeah.
But you can
Just
still play the game.
If you're friends with people in different regions of the world, then it might be an issue for you.
If you're a
But-
highly cultured person.
It's true. It's true. But if you're in the same region, you can just randomly get your friends in Elite Smash. Good time.
Sorry, Steve, what were you going to say?
And so you can't play, like, say I downloaded your games on my Switch. I have to play them through your account. I can't play them through my account.
Correct.
Okay, that's
Unless,
strange.
which it's like a whole thing. You could, but you had to set your account, or so for
I think
you to
now-
play his games on your Switch in your account, you would have to set his account as your Switch's home Switch.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
he would have
Right,
to do the same.
okay.
So you can play it on, yeah, exactly. I can play it on any profile on the home Switch, but then vice versa, the other person wouldn't be able to.
It's
So,
just annoying. It's something that you can do, but
Yeah.
it's annoying.
Yeah.
So it's just not worth it.
I mean, it's the same process. It's exactly the same
Unless
idea as
there's-
if you
if
have a
it's
Switch
just-
Lite and a regular
if it's
Switch and like
one
bouncing between the
person.
two.
Yeah. If
Yeah.
there's one person that you know that's like, okay, we like usually are way more into certain games or whatever, but like we both kind of like the same thing, like our situation where it's like I'm more into like online games. So I'll be more likely to like buy and play that constantly, whereas he's more in the single player game. It would probably be beneficial for us to do that more often where it's like, okay, if we want to have the save file on our accounts for whatever reason, switching that wouldn't really matter as much. But when there's two people that play pretty much the same things more often, that's not really worth it.
Yeah. So that's that. It's fun, but it works out great. So I'll get the game later, but I just wanted to go ahead and download it and start playing. But I mean, my impressions of it, honestly, going into today, I had kind of gotten unsold by the Treehouse. Like I was pretty excited about it, and just something about like, and it's not even all the, I don't know, hubbub that other people were having with like it not being, I don't know. Yeah, just something about the Treehouse. The fact that they were only showing early level stuff just didn't make it all feel very exciting. The kinds of things they were showing or whatever. And the presentation in and of itself was also real rough. So just like the sour taste of like, man, everybody, you know, the presentation not going well and it being kind of early things I didn't care about as much. But having played the first hour or so, or 30 minutes or something like that, I already am like, yeah, this is actually going to be pretty fun. So
Yeah, I think that this game feels like what Pokemon is, where like it's as hard as you want to make it, and they didn't want to make it hard, so they were like, you know what, pay to win, dude. Throw all the coins at the thing. But like for me right now, I haven't like died or anything like that, but most battles I'm not like. The first thing that I think to do isn't like, I'm going to pay so the toads make my life easy. You know, I like try to go through and then do the puzzle for each thing for that thing without paying anything. So like, it's like, okay, I have this many moves, I have 20 seconds or whatever. And then it becomes more of a complicated thing, but you can, and it's not, even then it's not like rocket science, but Paper Mario has never been rocket science. It's just, there's friction now.
Yeah.
Where like, if you don't want friction, which as we established, sometimes people don't want friction, you have the option to eliminate that too, which I don't know. I'm on board for that, honestly.
Yeah. So on that note too, let's move. We've got a quote from Kensuke Tanabe, or 2 quotes technically, on this topic for Paper Mario, and then we'll talk about them. And here we go. So this is talking about like the story in Paper Mario and how he approaches it. He's a producer specifically for Paper Mario and a bunch of other things. He said, in Super Paper Mario, the elaborate story led the game away from the Mario universe. So since Paper Mario Sticker Star, I've refrained from using stories that are too complicated. Personally, though, I like game with stories. During the production of The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, we made use of a system for characters, settings, and real conversations in order to build a story, which was a first for a game in its series. I also wrote the text for this game. Humble brag. To go back to Mario, in Paper Mario Color Splash, I avoided having complicated stories so as not to veer too far away from the Mario universe, and instead aimed for a game with more memorable events to create even more memorable experiences for players. In Paper Mario: The Origami King, we've established some characters other than the partner character, who will also join with players through the game. In particular, I think that Bobby, the Bob-omb, has turned out to be just as memorable a character as Olivia. And then he goes on to say, since Paper Mario Sticker Star, it's no longer possible to modify Mario characters or to create original characters that touch on the Mario universe. That means if we aren't using Mario characters for bosses, we need to create original characters with designs that don't involve the Mario universe at all, like we've done with Ollie and the stationary bosses.
So this part specifically, I was like, what? Like that.
Agreed.
And not in the sense that, like, because I know a lot of people are mad about it. I wasn't really mad. I was just confused. I was like, why is that a thing? And I was like, isn't Intelligent Systems a first-party studio? And it's not. I was like, what? Oh, they're a second party. I was like, oh, that makes sense. I get it.
What do you mean? Well, I guess what's the relevance of them being first party or second party?
So if they were first party, it would be confusing that Nintendo wouldn't want them to make new properties, because why would it matter?
Yeah.
But like in this case, it seems more like they're like trying to prevent Rare Studios situations, right? Where it's like, all right, freaking GoldenEye is complicated, Banjo is complicated. So like if Intelligent Systems one day is like, we're done, we're going to make the next Paper Mario game on the PlayStation 6 or whatever, right?
So when you're saying it's, so because in that case, I misread this, and probably most people did, when it says it's no longer possible to modify Mario characters to create blah, blah, blah. They don't necessarily mean it's no longer possible. Like, we can't come up with any kinds of ideas. They mean like literally Nintendo won't let them.
They're not allowed to. That's what it reads like to me, at least.
Yeah, that's how I read
wouldn't
it.
it be possible?
Interesting.
Yeah, like it's not like, you know, it's not hard to be like, you know what? You know what we never did? We never did an opera themed freaking Koopa or whatever, right? So that's what we're going to do. Like, it sounds like they're just straight up not allowed to.
That's
and
super interesting.
That was like a thing that was like that's how it initially read to me. And then I was like, and I did like the whole like deep dive on like Nintendo Studios. So like at one point or another, I knew that it wasn't like Nintendo doesn't own them, but it just never sunk in where it's like, oh no, they could just make a PlayStation game tomorrow if they wanted to. They just don't.
So I wonder how that, like, next level games, for example, with Luigi's Mansion 3, or do they have the same rules with that? I wonder if that is the case. If we're all reading that right, then you know what I mean? We're like, because it seems like they've created characters, but maybe it's I don't know.
I think with that
Yeah, I
they
don't
don't
know.
really create like they don't do modifiers on existing like Polter
Right.
Pup's not a boo,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So I think that's where
That's
they've
super interesting.
always gravitated more towards making like completely original things versus making a brand new bomb type or whatever, right?
So one additional tidbit I wanted to add to this before things was somebody tweeted out, so who didn't like the story in Super Paper Mario? It was the best part of the game. The disconnect with half the fan base is insane, blah, blah, blah. And then somebody retweeted and pointed out, I think the disconnect from the fan base in regards to story might partially come from this old Iwata Asks, where in this Iwata Asks, Tanabe said, yeah, with regard to the story, we did a survey over the Super Paper Mario game in Club Nintendo, and not even 1% said the story was interesting. A lot of people said the flip move for switching between 3D and 2D dimensions was fun, which I thought was an interesting addition into the thing. Are they really basing their decisions of not wanting to, do more story stuff off of this 1% that was like, we didn't even care about the story, y'all? I don't know. See what you think.
Does anyone even do those surveys anymore? I get like offered a
I don't think it
bazillion
exists
platinum
anymore.
points. I keep getting emails saying, hey, come and do a survey for like 50 platinum points, which you won't be able to spend on anything you want.
No, you
And
won't.
I'm like, nah, I'll pass on that, thanks.
Yeah.
I don't even like. Was it specifically a Japanese survey?
I don't know. That's a good question.
That seems like something that Nintendo would do.
Yeah,
I mean, they do it pretty often where it's like the Japanese market. I mean, less so now, I guess. But the Japanese market tends to influence or have more pull on what happens in the games than like the worldwide audience or whatever, right?
Yeah, it doesn't specify. I looked at it again to see if it said, but it didn't. So
it could also just be a thing of like that was just confirmation bias for them, where it's like they felt like that, and because I mean that's just Nintendo as a whole, like all their studios where they don't really care as much about the story, they care more about like the gameplay of it all and the like making new systems and gameplay elements and like different ways to play the game versus like what a lot of Paper Mario fans, and I'm not going to say like, because when people like Bob, right, when he talks about this game, he's like, Paper Mario fans don't like this game, and I was like, is that true? Like, I don't know if that's true. I feel like there's Paper Mario fans that like Paper Mario, Color Splash, and Sticker Star and stuff like that. It's just the part of the fan base that doesn't like the
really
different
vocal
battle systems and stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. But those games still are million plus sellers, like they were failures by no means, and this is going to be the same thing. So I don't know, man. Nintendo franchises seem to be like the most consistently divisive out of any franchise, like video game franchise, period. It's like either people fall over themselves for franchises that come out on first part, like PlayStation. More often than not, everybody loves it. It's like God of War. It's the greatest thing ever, period. And then once in a blue moon, you'll have The Last of Us 2, where people are like, oh, no, man, this kind of, like, but for Nintendo, that's every game they put out. It seems like every game is a The Last of Us 2.
Yep. I mean, it's pretty much, it's too bad because Paper Mario is the last game that's ever going to come out on the Switch.
It's the last game that'll ever happen.
It's the last Nintendo game, that's for sure.
No more games.
So, so on that note, let's there's a lot of speculation going around, and that next week there's going to be Nintendo Direct. And specifically,
is there ever not?
There was. I feel like there was not for a hot minute there. This, like, over the summer, May and June, actually, I guess April too, just because. Well, even at some point we were like, well, E3, so we don't have to worry about it. And then at some point it was deconfirmed for E3, and we all kind of shut up about it for a while. But now it's back. So
I don't know if people ever shut up about it. I don't know.
Well, the circles I paid attention to seemed to it for a minute there. Do you guys, number one? And I suggest we do some predictions anyway, just because.
Okay.
Why not?
Fine.
Like that's a fun time. But
We get
chance.
all right. This is. I'm calling it now. We're doing at most quarterly predictions for directs. If we miss the shot on this one, we're not doing it again. If they announce that the freaking Nintendo Direct is coming out next week, or the week after next week, next Nintendo Direct, we're not doing predictions. I mean, next directly to you, we're not doing predictions. We're just going to freaking link to this and call it a day. Every 3 months at most. We're doing Nintendo Direct predictions. Yep. I can't do this every month.
I agree with that. So Steve, do you just in general, do you think it's going to happen at all, or I don't know? What are your thoughts on the topic?
To be honest, I'm surprised we haven't had it already. They seem to be like drip feeding this 35th anniversary stuff already. We saw the Jenga set and the Junior Monopoly. They just like, it's like, surprise, there's some more Mario stuff yesterday.
Yeah.
And we had that NES Lego set, but I don't know if that was just a Lego announcement rather than a Nintendo announcement. But it's very Mario centric this year.
Yeah.
The first Mario Lego sets and Paper Mario, and I think
clothes,
and like the
clothes, yeah.
Like the Lego Super Nintendo is pretty Mario themed too, because the thing that's on the little TV is Mario. You know, there's no like Zelda variant.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like no matter what, whether there's a direct this week or not, and I'm inclined to believe that there is at this point. I don't know. It definitely seems like the 35 year anniversary stuff is legit. Just because. Yeah, all that stuff that you just said. And then like people found, and I don't know how much credit to give this necessarily, but we'll find out after the fact. People found the Twitter account.
See, I don't. We discussed this on the podcast this week, which we recorded yesterday.
The podcast.
But won't
Tell
be
us
out
more
until,
about.
It won't be out until after this.
Hey, also, but and so that people don't just leave before you get to mention the podcast and things like that real quick. Do some plugs.
Yeah, we do a podcast every week. You can find it over on LootPots.com, where we also write about Nintendo from time to time, less these days. And you can follow us on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, everything. We're LootPots everywhere. So, yeah.
It's good times.
It's true. We show up sometimes. Well, Parker lets up. Parker shows up in
Parker shows up when I'm not there. It's the only time Parker shows up.
I show up by means of music sometimes
and Q&A questions.
And Q&A questions more often.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. So LootPots stuff.
Yeah, I could see that these are both totally fake, this account and the F-Zero one. Because they've already got a Mario Nintendo account and a Twitter account. Why do they need another one with 0 followers when they could just announce it on one with millions already? It just seems to make a little sense to me, unless they're going to continually like.
Yeah, and if they're going to do a 35th anniversary Twitter account, why wouldn't that encompass literally everything that they've been announcing?
Yeah.
Like, why wasn't that a thing when they dropped the freaking Levi's or whatever, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, I guess the only thought would be if they were planning on doing it back then, but since everything else got pushed back or something, I don't know. Yeah, that wouldn't.
But that was way far out from all of this. Like they started doing Mario like 35th anniversary stuff.
Well, the question too is with the F-Zero one, that one was registered on March 16th. Let me check if this one says when it was registered or not.
I think that was also in March, but it all seems very convenient that it was just found now and then only posted as an anonymous tip to one website that seemingly reported on it.
Yeah.
And then knew immediately to go and check for the email addresses.
Yeah, to me, that seems like, I don't know. That's not the things that's giving it credit to me. There's other things that seem to be giving all this stuff more credibility. Just again, the fact
the Twitter accounts or the Mario thing. I think the Mario thing is like that's a lock. Like,
oh yeah, for sure. Oh no, I just meant the Twitter accounts for sure are just like, I don't know. Maybe they're a thing, maybe they're not. The F-Zero one actually kind of makes it more suspicious for me. If it was just the Mario one, then that's one thing. But the fact that the F-Zero one's there too. Unless we're due for a really big surprise. I don't know.
I don't know, man. It seems like it's their relationship with F-Zero is so strange because it feels like they're always hinting at something, but there's like it's always at such weird times where it's
Mhm.
like smoke but no fire. It's like he's in freaking Mario Kart, there's Mario Kart DLC and all that stuff. Maybe, like before then it was like, oh, he's in Nintendo Land. Hey, there's a chance, and then nothing, and now it's like, oh, he's in the Min Smash trailer. Does that mean something?
Which I mean, like compared to, there's definitely other Nintendo properties that have been gone for a while, and they just straight up don't talk about it. Like, I don't know, Star Tropics or something. They just are like, we don't Star Tropic. We just don't even talk about it, But then Captain Falcon and F-Zero and stuff, they're still keeping it around. So either it's like I don't know, we need him somewhere. We might as well put him in this stuff. Or they're trying to keep the brand alive for whenever they theoretically do something, which maybe now, maybe not.
It's like they know how much cachet specifically Captain Falcon has. Not F-Zero.
No.
Sorry, Falcon.
They need to make a game called Falcon Punch, and that's all they need.
But yeah, like they know how much like power he has in nerd culture, but they're like, I don't know if that's going to translate to game sales, so like let's just keep him in the public eye through other mediums and stuff like that, and then we'll just not do the financial risk of releasing a game. Like or maybe they have been working on an F-Zero game and they're just like, no, it's not good enough. There's like a whole bunch of like balled up pieces of paper in freaking Miyamoto's office, and that's why Pikmin 4 is not out.
I mean, on that note, then let's just throw out whatever. I mean, I haven't prepared a list of ideas or anything like that, but predictions or thoughts for a Nintendo Direct that happens whether this week or later this month or later like that. What do we think? I think number one, the Mario remasters.
Yeah, but I think it's 100% just all Mario.
Yeah,
like this
you
one.
think it's just going to be Mario?
Yeah.
I think honestly,
people would be so mad at that.
People would be. I have thoughts along similar lines, Steve. That like either it's a Nintendo Direct thing or it's not branded a Direct at all. Maybe branded a Mario
Direct. That. No, I could see it not even being a Direct. It's just like we're celebrating.
Yeah, if they just like do a Paper Mario situation, if they do like an Origami King, I could see that. But if they're going to hype it as a Direct and it's just Mario, I think people are going to be so mad, especially since like it basically it's all but confirmed in most people's minds. So for them to reveal it, it's like we waited 254 days or whatever the heck for this. I
mean, in that case, they didn't wait 254 days. They're just still waiting 255 days.
You know what? That's a good point. They do move the goalpost every time. It's like, nope, not satisfied. This doesn't count as a Direct. 255.
Yeah, and also, I mean, like some of the rumors seem to point or suggest Monday, which also seems. I think the only thing that I don't know. We can't go off of just like. What they've done before is what they're going to do now or anything like that. So
because they never just do what they've done before. They never do it.
So,
people are always like, even when stuff that does happen, they're like, I don't know, man, it's Saturday. They don't usually do Directs on Saturday. Before Direct on Saturday, like it's just like nobody knows. Nobody knows. I feel like everybody's just that Smash Brothers guy that's like, they're an assist trophy. It can't be a character, like that's just every like person that's predicting about Nintendo's next move or whatever. It's just like,
I don't know. I've to me, if it's on Monday, it's not. I don't see that just marketing wise. I don't see that likely being a regular Nintendo Direct.
Yeah,
no. I think you'd have announced it by now if it was a regular Direct. If it's a surprise like drop, then I could see that being Monday.
Yeah,
then they just post a video on YouTube and tweet about it. Then maybe, but I don't.
What do you think? I think the best thing for them to even do though. Like I feel like. Arguably, that might be the smartest thing to do for like a big Direct. Just shadow drop it. Because like, what do you have?
They ever done that with a big Direct? They've done it with a mini one.
I don't think so.
Right?
No, but they haven't done it with a mini Direct until they did it with a mini Direct. So like, and this would be the perfect time for them, like the perfect circumstances for them to just shadow drop a Direct because it's like everybody's probably home anyway,
Yeah, right.
and people are like, they're already like high strung for this thing to happen. So you don't got to get them hyped. They've been hyped for a year now. So like just dropping it, I think will probably be the way to like cut their losses the most.
Yeah.
Because the last time they tried to hype something up, people were mad about that because it's like, it's not the thing that I'm excited for or whatever. So you shouldn't try to make me excited, like at this point, if I'm Nintendo, I'm like, fine, like I'm not trying to make you excited for anything ever again. I'm just going to let you decide once it's out.
Yeah, I've so many conflicting thoughts on how this all could go down. I think if we don't see it by Tuesday next week, I don't think it's next
never
week
happening. We're
because
never
because
because
you got the Xbox thing next
exactly.
week as well, and I don't think that.
I don't think. Yeah.
Imagine ultimate betrayal. What if Nintendo was like Nintendo Direct, July 23rd? And it starts
at the exact same time.
Yeah, exactly. No, it starts like.
But then they reveal we're coming out with the Nintendo Xbox. They just like merge them together.
I'd be fine if it's just like Project X Cloud is coming to
I
Switch
would love that.
Or Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
I'd take either of those.
100%.
I mean, I feel like at this point, if they do xCloud, they got to do Game Pass.
Yeah, and vice versa too.
It's one and the same, really. At this point.
I can't see them doing Game Pass without having xCloud behind it, because also just like a lot of the games just aren't gonna come over very easily. They'd have to do so much work on each game that comes. I mean, not all of them. Some of them are, indie ones are super easy. So then specifically for the Mario 3D remasters, we assume we're going to see these. Final predictions in before the line, of what they're going to be like. We also have a question. Well, I'll ask the question afterwards. But like, do you think remasters, remakes, just touched up a little bit?
I think it depends.
One package, multiple packages.
It's a tiered answer for me because like if it's one package, no way it's a remix. No way. Zero chance. But if there are like individual like packages, I could see it being like 64 being a remake, and then like maybe if Sunshine's a part of it, that being like a remaster sort of situation, like Wind Waker, where it's the same assets but like stuff's upscaled and like there's different bloom effects and stuff like that. And then like the HD stuff is just like more content, like 3D World and like whatever new content. You get to play as Piranha Plant now or whatever. But I can't see them doing like one package thing and every part of it is a remake. I can't. That's not.
I think they're all just going to be remasters, but with enhancements. So I think the controls will be enhanced for 64. It'll obviously support twin sticks. They're going to have to do something for Sunshine to make Flood work, because we haven't got analog triggers, so they're going to have to do something there. Galaxy, they're probably going to want to get it to work on the Switch Lite, so they're going to need to make it work without motion controls. So there needs to be a lot of work done for all of them.
What they could do, since the Switch the Switch Pro controller, well, the Switch in general has more buttons than the GameCube controller, they could just use other triggers and buttons to like modify or not modify, use it as like a control for like, this is how much pressure I want to put here. Press down R3 or whatever when you want it to shoot more or whatever.
Like, it's been a minute since I've played Sunshine. The last time, well, I mean, it was like 2017, I want to say, that I played it. I played it right before Odyssey, and it has inverted controls, so I put Odyssey's controls to inverted too, and then at some point was like, nope, this is the worst. I hate it so much. And it's
horrible.
It's so bad. But I don't remember feeling like the analog controls were like, it did it and it worked, and it's like, oh, cool. Yeah, I don't know.
It's the second click. So the GameCube controller has that like second you push down and then it clicks again, and that's when it did something.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
And
what.
that
Like,
much
they could
just. I think they could just do that.
They could make it so you hold it and then just press A or something.
Yeah, right. Or just like, if you do it and then just like let go and press again real fast or something.
You could press. They could just be like ZR and
right, exactly.
ZL at the same time or whatever. Or even ZR in R.
Yep. And to be honest, I mean, as far as what to expect, I'm totally thinking it's like, I mean, like you guys just said, I wonder how people will compare these to Spyro and Crash and stuff like that, where like, I think Galaxy is going to look better as just up-res Galaxy even than like Crash Insane Trilogy, maybe, you know, like, but probably.
Did you see the video Digital Foundry did of Galaxy running on the NVIDIA Shield? So they got hold of a Chinese NVIDIA Shield and managed to like play it. It'll run exactly like that, I would imagine, because it's going to be the same port.
Yep. Which, I mean, and so I think it'll look great. Mario 64 is where people are going to be the most, I think.
Yeah,
that's the one that's the biggest question, you know.
And that's why I think that like if they do it, it's gonna like I can't see them just doing like HD remasters for everything. It's going to like they gotta remake 64 at least.
The only thing that I think that I feel like they're so proud of some of their like pinnacle games like that, like I mean they remade Ocarina of Time, but it was for 3DS, so I don't know how that really factors in. But I feel like some of those games, like they're almost proud of the way that Mario 64 just is and looks, but they would want it to look like a better version of exactly what it is. Because I mean, the fact that you can get a 64 skin in Mario Odyssey also was like, look how cool! Remember that time? Wasn't it great? So I don't know. I would hope that it would be great. I would rather them do a remake because that would be better. But I've got a feeling that they'd be like, people want the original. They want that.
See, that's what I want. I want the original. If they remake it, I at least want the original there as well. But what I would personally prefer is they just do these and then announce Odyssey 2. Like, I would rather have just a new game than them remake 64, because 64 feels old when you go back and play it now. And they can do so much more, which they've shown with Odyssey and even Galaxy.
I think, I mean, to be perfectly honest, I think these games are for us, but are even more for the rest of the people that haven't come in the door. I've said this before on the podcast, but there's people that still haven't gotten a Switch, and knowing about this, they'd be like, oh man, I do want to play 64 again in a good way, that kind of thing. So, and like, then the questions are, because of COVID and everything, are these the only games we get this holiday? I hope not. But like,
I hope we don't have to wait till the end of the year for it as well. Like, I was kind of hoping that it's the 35th anniversary, you get to play them at least somewhat through the 35th year, rather than having to wait right to the end and then having a few days.
I'm guessing October for these. That's my prediction, but I don't know.
I think it depends on what got pushed back, because they've made it very clear that they've had games for this year, and they have games for this year, but it's like, because they don't work that far in advance, they're like, when stuff is done and ready to go out, or when we feel like, because there are times where games are just straight up done and they hold on to them. But even that factors into like their marketing cycle and stuff like that, and when other games are done. Right. So like, just because like they could be sitting on Pikmin 3, the game that they wanted to release alongside that or directly before or after that might not be done. So therefore they're not ready to release that game,
And I mentioned this really briefly in my video this week, but they had that comment about our 2020 lineup hasn't, like, is still looking good, and like nothing will get pushed out of 2020, but maybe in the future. And I think a lot of people read that as, and I hope that it means that like what we currently have planned internally for 2020 isn't getting pushed out. It's still good, but maybe later stuff will be because of all this stuff. But it very well could mean all of the things that are currently announced for 2020 will come out in 2020, which literally Paper Mario. That's it. Which is like, if so, that's kind of not the best, but
they straight up said they had more unannounced games that were playing for 2020.
In that same quote?
It was in a quote before then.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay. It was in one of those financial reports.
I mean, that's what I'm hoping that it meant. So, okay. So now we've got a quick question on this, and then we'll kind of move on from there. I mean, after this, we can give just like scattershot ideas of, if it happens to be a full-on direct, some things we think we could see, because that'll be fun. But Washagigan asks, what are your thoughts if Mario Collection are just lazy ports? I don't want Nintendo to be the next Bethesda on living off old games with no effort. I just want hope.
Oh, see. Now, I actually was going to say for your question that I think one of the things we will see in a full Nintendo Direct is the announcement of a Fallout collection, which would again be another lazy Bethesda port. So,
Good tie-in.
It's like, no, of course they're not going to do that. Bethesda still exists, and they can't be Bethesda when Bethesda's in the same vicinity. They'll get sued.
Yeah, I
It's
think
like we
with
corner
this-
the market on crappy ports. Get out of here.
right. My thoughts with this is, I no matter what, I don't think that it'll be that they went into the game with a lazy port mentality of like, let's just get out this. I think whatever they do is what they think is the best for Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy and stuff. But it could be that that's less than what we would actually want. For again, the reasons I said before, of if they actually really like the way Mario 64 looks and don't want it to look like Galaxy running or Odyssey running 64 games. You know what I'm trying to say.
I think
So,
Nintendo values their output and their IP and their library way too much to intentionally half-ass something. Like, if they were the type of company to just be like, you know what, let's just get a port house to do whatever and put 6 months into it, we'll pay like $2 million and we'll make it. Like, if they wanted to do that, there would be not a year that we don't get F-Zero and Metroid and Pokemon and Mario and Zelda and all their franchises every year, because it would just be as simple as like, okay, let's just get a whole bunch of indies to like take care of game X and blah, blah, blah. Like, let's just throw money at it and then we'll make a return because our franchises matter. Because they care enough to be like, no, we gotta like make sure each game has its moment, and you know, like we put our time and attention and stuff like that. I can't see them just half-assing ports like that, especially a Mario port.
Yeah,
like,
I think, I mean, especially on the 35th anniversary, and it's like, this is the whole, everything's coming together and all that kind of stuff. This is like a big deal to them. But I think there's a lot of decisions that Nintendo and like Pokemon and other teams like that make that we feel like are one thing. It's like Pokemon, for example, making decisions that we're like, why aren't you making games harder or whatever for us? Like, you're just lazy by doing this thing. But they're very intentional decisions for kids and for like reasons that we just happen to disagree with. But like,
and that was the other thing that I wanted to bring up to add on to that. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to like everything that they do. It doesn't mean that but it does mean that at least from their perspective, they're putting care into the game. They're like, this is a game that we think our audience and our global like audience from top down, from 5 to 95, like Reggie used to say, like that happy medium will like, not necessarily
96-year-olds. That's all I want to say. It's they don't get to play any.
It's true. It's true. What about the 4-year-olds, dude? What about them?
They'll grow up.
They'll get
just wait a little bit. Yeah,
they'll get to turn 5. Just give them 365. Just give them a Nintendo
one Direct
stage. Yeah. So yeah, I think that there's no way that they're going to put out a port or whatever that they at least don't think is good. It's not going to be this thing that's just like, we didn't put any effort into it. You might not like it, but they're going to try.
Yeah. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll try, but I don't think they're going to remake them. Like, I 100% don't think that's going to happen. But I think these ports are going to come out. But then I thought that the Metroid Prime trilogy was going to come out, and that turned out to never show up. So, but I think that goes back to what AJ was saying earlier, that I just think they're sitting on that until Metroid Prime 4 is ready.
Yeah.
And we know what happened with that.
It definitely, that one still, I mean, I say this fairly often on this podcast, but the Metroid Prime trilogy thing, I know that it definitely seems like they're waiting to use that as a bargaining chip for Metroid Prime 4. But at the same time, like, I really hope they don't just be like, all right, here's Metroid Prime trilogy. Metroid Prime 4 comes out later this year. So that, like, for me, who's never played a full Metroid Prime game, any of them, and I'd like to play them on the Switch, I just don't want to be burnt out by the time Metroid Prime 4 comes out.
I'm the same. And I also don't want to get burnt out by Mario this year, which seemingly is what's going to happen if they've got nothing else planned.
Yeah.
So, but
go ahead.
So Metroid Prime 4, what is that development like? in our current time, because a lot of Western studios maintain that like they're not really affected that much by this because like the philosophy is different. It's like a Western publisher's not as like tight-lipped. They're not like, you can't have this dev kit at your house. Dude. They're like, nah, man, take home too. But Nintendo's like, nope, you're not getting a Switch dev kit. You got to stay in the office, tied to it. The rep is sitting there, and they're also handcuffed to the wall. Like nobody gets out alive, you know. But like, so because it's developed by a Western studio but owned by a Japanese company, like, what's is it more so a Japanese production in COVID, or is it more of
probably? I mean, yeah.
Or is it even worse because of the combination of the two?
Possibly worse. I know the company that I work for, it's a global company or whatever, and so none of our offices are opening till September, even though our state is very open at this point. Like anybody can pretty much do anything more or less, which sucks. But yeah, so I feel like that's probably the similar kind of thing where like Nintendo of Japan would still have the say over the things, but I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question. They're obviously still hiring things.
We're not seeing freaking Metroid Prime 4 until 2037.
No. But yeah, what do you guys think? So if a direct happens this week, throw out some ideas. What do we think?
Metroid Prime 4, first game we see. No.
I mean, okay, I could still, I know there were rumors of 2D Metroid. I could see 2D Metroid literally just because the Metroid, the Samus helmet in Paper Mario still seems...
I don't think it matters now, especially since it's like a whole thing. Like it's not just Metroid. Like if it was just Metroid, like if it was just a Metroid reference within the game, then I'd be like, okay, yeah, maybe. But because it's just like
there's also a Donkey Kong
Nintendo, I don't know.
But I think there's only those. It's just Metroid or just Samus, Donkey Kong, and a Goomba. I'm pretty sure it's all three of them. Which, like, I don't know. That seems like a small amount to be. If it was every franchise or like, 10 of them, then I could see that more so. But
so we're getting a Donkey Kong and a Metroid game.
I thought about it. Not gonna lie. But so yeah, I think very likely a 2D Metroid for all the reasons.
Would you think that's going to be developed in-house, or are they going to give that to someone else?
That's a good question. I bet honestly, it's been 3 years now since Samus Returns. I could definitely see that team. That I forgot their name. Mercury Steam. Yep. Yeah, I could see Mercury Steam doing it. Yeah, and I don't know whether that would be. I'd say probably Metroid 5. I mean, yeah, I'd say Metroid 5. There it is. I mean, in the same way they brought back Metroid Prime 4, it's not like they did, like at this point, it seems like they're trying to go back to the roots sort of idea. So, yeah.
I mean, I don't think they'd put the name in it, number in it. I think they'll just stick with the names.
Yeah. But I mean, in terms of like, as opposed to, I guess, like a remake or
another
something
remake,
like that.
yeah.
So that's one of my guesses.
I could see that.
And then, yeah.
What?
I mean, Pikmin seems like an obvious one.
Pikmin's like the other thing.
Yeah, Pikmin does, yeah. I'd love to see them give another IP of theirs to someone else. Like they did with Cadence of Hyrule.
Yeah.
Yep. And like we thought they were going to do with Way Forward.
Yep.
Oh, man. That was rough. Yep. Man, I feel like I had some ideas, but I don't know. We'll see.
I think we'll see freaking who's everybody saying? Everybody's saying next Smash Bros. Character is going to be Paper Mario, and I think that those people are very wrong.
What about that? What about that Tomb Raider rumor? Did you guys see that? This random poster maybe leaked.
Yeah. So it sounds like from what some insider-ish people seem to be saying that the poster was a fake poster, but the information is more likely than not accurate.
Okay.
Well, according to them, they were like, poster's fake, the stuff's true, but I don't know about those people, so who's to say? But yeah, I could definitely see that. It's been surprising that, especially with how much Square has been working with Nintendo, that they haven't done anything Tomb Raider. So
Yeah, and like Tomb Raider is another game that runs on the Shield, so it's strange to me they never made it to Switch.
Yep. So yeah, I can see that happening.
I think that they've put like a Tomb Raider game on the Wii, and like that's it. So that could definitely be one of those things. It's like for the first, like they'd even like brush it under the rug. The first time ever on a Nintendo
platform. I think like we talked about this, I don't know, last week or 2 weeks ago, but that Nintendo at some point had purportedly told third parties, like, go ahead and just announce your stuff. Don't worry about it. Like, we're not going to do a direct, so announce your stuff. But that said, they haven't really, for the most part. It could be that there's really nothing to announce, but thinking about it, at some point it was like, would Nintendo really then be like, we're going to do a direct and like, come on back in, guys. But they... I feel like
there's definitely no chance that there's nothing to announce.
Because,
right. If that was the case, then why would Nintendo tell them to announce their stuff?
Exactly.
If there was nothing to announce.
So it does seem like at first I was going to say it's just a Nintendo only thing because they'd already told those teams. So those teams have their own plans, but it's pretty easy to be like, oh, you had that trailer. You want to hold off for like a week and then we'll stick it in our thing. I don't know. Maybe that's harder than I thought.
Honestly, it could be a thing of like Nintendo being like, everybody announce your stuff. And then some people are like, no, like, we're going to wait for a Nintendo Direct, like, so.
Yeah. Yep. So there you go. There's some stuff. It's going to be F-Zero because that Twitter account.
Yep.
There it is.
True.
One last news bit before we get into the videos stuff is... we're not going to talk about this long because as I read it, I was like, this doesn't say as much as I thought it did. But it's the Metroid Prime for won't ignore casual players, quote unquote, is the article. But I don't know if that's what it says as we read it ourselves. So this is from Kensuke Tanabe talking about Paper Mario.
It's just all over this episode.
It really is. He said, first, Nintendo's philosophy on game creation is that we don't ignore casual players in creating our games. This is also true for games such as those in the Metroid Prime series, games that at first glance look like they are only aimed at core gamers. With that in mind, what we've done in the Paper Mario series is to put a lot of work, particularly into the puzzle-solving elements of the game so they can also be enjoyed by core users. And that's the whole quote.
Yeah, no.
Which seems like a bit of a stretch.
I too saw Max mad about that on Twitter.
But I mean, yeah, fun to talk about. I don't know. Do you guys glean anything from that otherwise though?
No. I mean, I feel like they always did that. And see, that's the thing that's like tough about talking about long-running Nintendo franchises, because everybody has this idea in their head that at one point in time Nintendo games were so much more impossible than they are now. But now what they do is they just give you the option to make it easier. And people feel like because the option's there that they have to take it, because there's assist mode in Mario Odyssey or whatever. You have to be like, yes, Luigi, I do want help, like that sort of stuff. And you don't, I think that at most that's what he's saying, where it's like in the same way I was talking about like Paper Mario, where it's like you have the option to be like, yeah, give the Toads 999 coins to make this puzzle go away. Like I think that is going to be the approach that they take, where it's like they give you the option to make the game easier for yourself, but you don't have to do that.
Yep. And like I feel like for this too, the reason, like, I don't know, people might wonder why he used Metroid Prime as an example, but he was a producer on Metroid Prime, and also those feel to me like the most obvious examples of core gamer games. So like he's pulling the extremes of like, even all the way in Metroid Prime, we, include stuff for casual players. But
that's arguably like their most like stereotypical like core gamer game. It's developed by a Western studio. It's a shooter, like there's arguments there. It's like, oh, it's a shooter, So like that's as core gamer as you're gonna get within Nintendo. So for him to use that example makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
How actually casual friendly are those games? I've never played them. Can you just dip in? Could I like give the controls to my mom who plays Candy Crush on her iPad and go, here you go?
No. I think they're like about as like casual friendly as like a Ratchet and Clank game would be, right?
Okay.
Like they're not like baby.
It's not like
games for
Lego
babies.
game level of easy.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not like Dark Souls or whatever. Right?
I mean, which if he's saying is like that's the philosophy for Nintendo. So same would be the case, I guess, for like Breath of the Wild, where we all know that it's not like that's not an easy game for the most part. But at the same time, there's ways to get around things, and
there's
like,
ways to make it easy. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So it's. I mean, yeah. I don't know. It's funny.
In fact, I think that's the best example, honestly, of a game like that. Because Breath of the Wild, the whole the bulk of the game is making the game easier. Like the whole thing is like beat all the Blight Ganons and stuff like that to make the final Ganon easy.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
And like by the end, I could kill Lionel's in like 20 seconds just from all right, I'm just gonna blow gust of wind or whatever, and then like shoot a bunch of arrows in its face, land, jump up again, shoot a bunch of arrows in his face, and it's dead. And that was it. But at the beginning,
I used to run away from them at the beginning. I was just like, nope. I see them and I was like, there's no way I'm going down there.
Yeah. And it doesn't, I think largely doesn't have to do just with skill, because after having done that, I've said this before, but like I went and tried to fight a Lionel as soon as I possibly could in the game. So as soon as I got off the Great Plateau, I was like, I'm going to fight a Lionel and just see what happens. And I ran out of weapons before I was able to beat him, because all my weapons degraded because I just wasn't strong enough then. They weren't strong weapons. But I was doing way better as far as like skill wise.
It's skill and knowledge in that game with a lot of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's like Guardians are like that, right? Where it's like, oh, shoot, a freaking Guardian. The first time I ever saw a Guardian, I was like, nah, man. But now, like, I talk about it all the time. I'm randomly like, I feel like playing Breath of the Wild, and then I'll play it for like one freaking divine beast, and I'm like, all right, I had my fill. Now I see Guardians even in the beginning. I'm like, come on, just hurry up, shoot me, reflect it with the shield, he's dead, and there's stuff like that with even Lionel's where it's like, all right, go for the headshot, jump on his back, that type of stuff. So tangent aside.
What a fun game. So, but that's that. Let's I think we're done with the news bits. And so, Steve, this part of the podcast now, AJ and I each make a video a week, and then we grab some comments from those videos and then just chat about them. Give some extra thoughts. So the video that I made was was kind of reviewing the first 6 months of the Switch's this year, and then talking about the next ones and all that kind of thing. And kind of pointing out that I don't know, the main thesis statement was like, yes, we don't know anything about the rest of the year, but also the first half of the year wasn't actually as slow as we'd like to think. It's just
we literally got our holiday game in the first 3 months. Like
that. And also, I mean, even just number of release wise, we're just on par with the other years. So that's still not to say that you have to have hope about the second half of the year. Like, you could be discouraged about it, and that's totally reasonable because we don't know anything. But the first half of the year isn't necessarily indicative of what the second half is going to look like. So, I'm pretty middling on a lot of these things where I am optimistic, but also not, but also realistic. So
see, I wonder if like everyone's perception that Nintendo's having a bad year is just because we've all been stuck in our houses with wanting something to play, but we've had nothing since Animal Crossing, and presumably that has something to do with it.
Yeah, and I think exactly that, and like people like having things to look forward to for the most part, like unless you have a backlog, which a lot of us do, and a lot of people do and don't acknowledge or realize.
I think even if you do have a backlog, people still want the next thing to look forward to.
Yeah, so I think that's the difference between this year and other years is just the fact that we don't know what's coming later, which I honestly prefer in some ways. If it is going to turn out to be a good holiday season, I like the fact that I don't know what it's going to be. But I also don't know one way or another if it is going to be a good holiday season. So, I can't necessarily have a preference about it now. But yeah, I don't know. Could be a lot of fun surprises. But at the same time, worst case scenario, I've got a backlog. It's not a big deal. I'll just be playing, Smoke and Sacrifice.
In the grand scheme of things, everybody has a lot of games that they could play, even if they don't have like a theoretical backlog or whatever. Where they
I've played like 5 minutes of Fire Emblem. I never even selected a house. I need to go back and finish that game.
I just want to know what house you're going to be. That's what I want to know. So
everyone tells me to play Golden Deer, I think it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Good choice.
Golden Deer is great. Yeah.
Don't listen
Okay.
to them. Just go with your heart, dude. Just
Yeah, I agree. Go with your heart.
Go with
If
your
it's
heart,
different
dude.
than mine,
Yeah, but
we
I don't
won't
want to
be
pick the
friends
bad one. I
anymore.
don't want it to be like Slytherin and like I end
Oh,
up being
yeah.
with the slimy people.
My wife is
Amen.
Slytherin. You watch yourself. It's okay. I'm Gryffindor. I'm an upstanding citizen, as it were.
I too know pots. Loot ones.
Indeed. All right, so here we go. Here's some comments. So from Seven, who says, at this point, I've got too many awesome games on my backlog that I don't really mind no new releases for a while. That being said, though, Nintendo's got a Nintendo, so I also fully believe that they've still got great things in store for us, but just aren't saying anything yet for whatever reason. Once Paper Mario is good and out and the hype around it dies down a little bit, Nintendo will come out of nowhere with their next big title. Either that or we'll get a late Wii U levels of drought until the next system drops in 2 years' time. LOL.
Yo.
Yep. I appreciate this. Also, this reminded me of a thing that I was going to point out before, but I forgot. To add to the direct suspicions and things like that, we did get the mini direct the week after Animal Crossing came out, which was their big, first beginning of the year.
Yeah, they did all the
thing.
2K games in that one, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was, and it was like, yeah, because we were all saying, well, I was saying for sure, like, it seems like they would want to have the direct before Animal Crossing so that what's coming out after it, and then they didn't because they wanted you to get Animal Crossing, and then they had the direct immediately the week afterwards. So that does lend some extra credence. Not to say that we can base things off of past things, but whatever. Going into this next week, Paper Mario just happened, so it's possible.
That seems to be what everyone does, though. Like PlayStation and Xbox were doing the same thing.
Mm.
PlayStation got Ghosts of Tsushima and The Last of Us out of the way, and then was like, "Here's PS5."
Yeah. Yep. So 7, Bianca, agreed. That is all. Court G said, if we do get a direct soon, I think it'll be smart to do their big announcements here in between the big PlayStation and Xbox events. It'll give whatever they want to show off some time to breathe and shine in the spotlight before the next big wave of news takes over. What are you talking about? I'm right here. Just kidding. Hey, sorry, my computer went crazy, so I'll be right back on it in a second. But in the meantime, can you guys hear me?
Oh,
Yes.
now we gotta edit. Gross.
Oh wait, did you stop the meeting?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Well, hey people, if we're not editing the video version, how you doing?
All right, we'll keep going. I'll keep reading this comment.
Now your audio is not going to sound good.
I know, but or we can just decide to edit. It's whatever you want.
Hey man, I can do whatever. It's fine.
All right. Well, it'll be a minute before my computer turns back on. So I'll keep reading this and we'll keep talking about it. Yeah, so before the next big wave of news takes over, I hope this could be like the Nintendo E3, even though it's now July.
I don't think we'll get a big Nintendo E3 because we would have had like the Smash announcement in that. We probably would have had a bunch of other stuff from third-party games, the Mario stuff. I think that's just gone, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think it's like a situation of like people being like, give us Wind Waker HD with the levels that got scrapped or whatever, and they're like, but like we already used all that stuff in different Zelda games that came out after the fact. Like it's that situation where it's like we gave you the Nintendo E3 Direct or whatever, or either we gave you part of it and we're giving you the rest of it in other places and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's definitely. I mean, I think if we get, whatever point we get a direct, it's going to be the biggest direct that it could be based on what there is available. It's just a question of what's available. So, I think as far as the E3 thing goes, probably there's stuff that they would have shown there that they just won't show in a direct now because because there's more stuff that's probably undetermined and undecided and will have gotten pushed out. So, yeah. But that said, hopefully, we'll get something that still kind of feels like, a decent swath of information all at once. At this point, it would be nice to have that rather than have more Paper Mario type announcements one at a time. But Nintendo's got a Nintendo, so we'll see. Next comment comes from the Nintendo Gamer, who says, overall, the year so far has been good for Nintendo. If you look at it, Animal Crossing, Xenoblade, Paper Mario, Clubhouse Games, and Pokemon DLC and Mystery Dungeon was great for me since I'm a huge Pokemon and Animal Crossing fan. That's not a bad first half of year at all. Can't complain so far, but let's see what the next 6 months felt like a lot less because of the facts of other things taking spotlight.
Yeah, I feel the same. Saying Xenoblade because I don't really care about that, but like, I think that even speaks more to it, right? Like, there was enough games that are new games that I'm like, yeah, I like this, and I'll play this. That not every game needed to be for me. On top of the fact that how I already think about games, where it's like, well, if there are no games for me, I have games that I currently own that are,
Yeah.
Even with the new releases, I feel like there's too many for how I usually play them or whatever. So
I get it.
I still haven't
like,
felt the drought feeling.
See, I kind of have felt the drought because I don't play. Xenoblade's not for me. I didn't pick up Clubhouse Games. I don't play Pokemon at all.
That's true.
I don't think
you still don't have Paper Mario.
Nope. So it's like the only game I bought that was like a Nintendo game this year was Animal Crossing, which is unusual for me.
Yeah, I really think the thing is, for the first half of a year, like, it really isn't that unusual for that to be the case. Unfortunately, like, I wish that things were paced out a little bit better. Because like last year, for example, 2019 was the first half of the year was not much at all things considered. I would have to look up again what it was, but
I don't even see.
Yoshi,
the thing is, like, it's hard for me to gauge it like that, where it's like, what games didn't I buy, because like, it's very rare for me, or even got for free or whatever, which is more or less the same, because I'm not going to ask for a big game from Nintendo or a third-party publisher or whatever if I wouldn't have bought it. It's hard for me to gauge it like, oh, that didn't interest me enough to buy it, because a lot of times I'll buy it anyway, unless I don't. If I have zero interest, like Xenoblade, like there's no way I'm making a video about this or anything like that. It always nets out to me buying at least 80% of the games that they release in a year. So like, every year usually feels full for me because I buy most of the stuff that they come out with.
Right. I feel like I'm on a talk show or something, because I've got two different cameras going on right now, and so I can do little cutaways and talk to this one or the other one. Oh wait, hang on.
Oh shoot.
I can't hear you.
Can you not?
I can't hear Steve. I can hear you.
I can't hear Steve either.
Hello?
Now I can hear Steve.
Weird.
Oh well.
Sure.
I'm back. I mean, I was still here, but yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say also, because like, everybody's preferences are different. I know not plenty of people. I know a couple of people that bought the Switch when it first came out, were super jazzed on it for Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, and then sold their Switch because they were like, there's nothing really coming out.
That was great for me. I love that first year. Like Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart, Splatoon 2, Mario Odyssey. Like those four alone, like, took me through to the next year. Easy.
Yeah, and so I think, I mean, it's even regardless of, there could be a ton of games. Like last year, a ton of games came out in the second half. But if you didn't care about any of those games that came out, Pokemon, Link's Awakening, Astral Chain, whatever, Fire Emblem, that's a lot of games. But if they're not all for you, then it feels like a drought, even though it's not, because, and same goes for the fact that like the eShop is swimming with titles every day, but they're not all for everybody, so yeah, it's weird, but I don't know. Yeah, we'll see with the second half, and I do feel like it'll probably, like, my real guess is that it's the Mario 35th anniversary, Pikmin, Super Mario or 3D World Deluxe, and maybe 2D Metroid.
I think that'll be like in the same breath. Like if they do the 3D
Yeah,
world,
yeah,
it's going
I
to
think
be
so.
alongside the 35th
Yeah,
anniversary.
I agree with that. So, and then one last comment from Cool, who said, I really hope the rumors of a July 20th Direct turn out to be real. I'm also really glad Nintendo didn't give us a release window for Breath of the Wild 2, because that would no doubt have been delayed. Here's hoping to Bayonetta 3 this year. Also, if the 3D Mario collection is real and sells well, I hope it encourages Nintendo to remaster more games. Maybe then we can get Twilight Princess and Wind Waker bundled a few months before Breath of the Wild 2's release. Great video. That's agreed.
See, I miss the time when we didn't have to wait for Nintendo to remaster games, and we had the virtual console and we could just play them straight away. That was good times.
That was good times.
I think as far as like me playing the game, like retention, as far as retention's concerned, I would prefer them to remaster them, because like virtual console stuff is like cool the day it happens, and then I never touch it again. But like when Wind Waker HD came out, that was the game I'm playing that month, right? Like, and same with Twilight Princess, even though I don't like that game nearly as much. Some might say at all. But like that wouldn't be the case if it was just like a virtual console thing. It'd be like, oh, Twilight Princess again, I'm not playing this. Like, yeah, I think having both, or not both, having more games on the Nintendo Switch Online library, I think is like the happy medium there, or would be, because like I wouldn't want to buy every little game that I'm only going to play for one day, but I would.
Yeah, but like it's ready for the next system. I'm ready for the N64, the GameCube, or the Game Boy to be added at this point.
Yeah. And I think like it would be nice to have, for the differences to be enough or whatever too, with the remasters, remakes, whatever, so that you could play the original, like Link's Awakening. You can play the original Link's Awakening, and although the game itself is exactly the same in some regards, the mechanics of it and like the way that you play, and you know, not having just two buttons and having to go into the menu and stuff like that, the remaster feels like a huge upgrade. So to play both of those and have accessibility to both of them is still valuable. Whereas probably like, I don't know, if you had original Twilight Princess versus Twilight Princess HD, arguably there's definitely some quality of life upgrades. I assume. I haven't actually played the newest one. Okay, so like, yeah, there's
I think
some
you
quality
don't
of life.
have to play the game mirrored for starters, like you did on the Wii version.
Does that even matter?
No.
Maybe.
No.
But still, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, I don't know. So, but I would like them to do more remakes and stuff. I think Link's Awakening might actually be a better case to them for doing remakes and stuff like that. But it also seems like they just do those with Zelda anyway. So other franchises getting them is the really bigger
which
question.
Is weird. It's so weird.
It is.
Like that. I think that should prove to the people that are like, remasters are just cash grabs or whatever, that like Nintendo at the very least does not think like that. Because like if it was a cash grab, I don't think Zelda would be at the top of their list the way that it is.
Yeah.
Like for them, it's definitely like a preserving art sort of thing, more so than it is a like, let's make more money, you know. I think they see Zelda more as art that they need to maintain than they do Mario. Mario's like, Mario's Mario. It's fine.
Indeed. So yeah, that's all the comments I grabbed from my video, but now there's some from AJ's video. AJ, do you want to give a quick synopsis of what yours was and all that?
I talked about weeb stuff. It was about anime games that I want to see on Switch. Specifically, I wanted to mostly talk about Avatar because like when they put it on Netflix or whatever, I was like, oh yeah, that exists, and I was watching that, and then I was like, why isn't this a game? And that happens a lot where it's like I see a thing and I'm like, why isn't this a game? And I want to make a video about it, but like it just doesn't make sense. It's like, why would I do that?
You made one for Hunger Games, and
I did.
Recently, that one started to resurface.
And that's the thing that's cool about those videos, where it's like initially I'm like, I don't really care about how this does, because in the long run it'll probably do really good as long as the idea is exciting enough for people. So
sure enough,
it was like, long game, I could have just made a just Avatar video, but because I wanted to make it now and have a reasonable chance for it to like have traction, I attached it to the Bandai Namco Play event or whatever. and talked about anime games that I wanted to happen in general. And I had more ideas, but then I was like, wait, I can't do an anime video and not get eaten on this video. I cannot do that. That's illegal. It's not a thing that is allowed. So I hit up Ian and I was like, yo, Ian, because I think we talked about it on the podcast when I was like, I gave him the idea of like, yo, like, just send me stuff and like I'll edit it into a video. Like, tell me, like, just ramble for 5 minutes about a thing that you want and I will edit it, you know? And that's what I did. I was like, yo, I'm making a video about anime games. Give me like 5 minutes of you talking about the anime games that you want. And he gave me 5 games. So like, okay, cool. Nice. And then I edited that and then that's what happened.
Yep. Steve, do you watch anime at all?
No, not at all.
Rip, dude.
Look at that.
I know. I've always wanted to get into it. I watch like the stuff that everyone watches, Studio Ghibli stuff, and that's it really.
I feel like these days, because
like,
I didn't watch it a whole lot for a while. I mean, I watched Pokemon, which is, you know, it's Pokemon. Then I barely watched any anime, and then I started watching My Hero Academia a couple years ago, I don't know, like 3 years ago or so, and then that segued into watching a bunch more stuff. So it's a really palatable one compared to, while still being pretty shogun-y.
Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, like
without, I think like the thing that it does well that some of the more classic ones don't, like, is the pacing is still like, it feels like things are actually happen every episode, not like there's some episodes for sure where I'm like, okay, was that one worth happening? But for the most part, it feels like a regular show where like there's a cliffhanger for the next episode kind of thing, except not there's a decent amount of cliffhangers.
I think that's the in bold modern day part of it, because like it's less so them thinking like, okay, what's a regular show like, and more so them thinking, okay, what's a show look like in the day and age where people are consuming this show in just like long binge sessions versus like week to week or whatever.
Because before it'd be like, we just need an episode for every weekday, and so we're gonna have 70 episodes for this season or something like that.
And it's also like, it's been a week, dude. They're not gonna remember what happened last time, so it repeats themselves. But yeah, I'm mostly in the same boat. Just with media in general, I don't watch things, so like, there's not many anime that I've seen. I've seen most of the really big ones, and then there's like zeitgeist moments where I'm like, yeah, I'll check that out. So all the ones that like Ian talked about, I knew, and there's like others that
I didn't know all of the ones he talked about. There were a couple, the sports ones especially, no clue, no idea. I've seen like one of those, like where I saw like multiple episodes. I knew about all of them though. It was just like, I don't know, watch freaking a swim team anime. I'll pass on that one. But I knew of it. Which I was happy about. I didn't even think about. There's so many things that like, I just made this video because I wanted to make it. I didn't think about none of the like logistical things of like, wait, this is gonna suck to edit because like Japanese companies period are very litigious. So for me to like put up this video, I know I'm gonna get 37 copyright claims, and it's just gonna be a nightmare. I know it's not gonna like be able to like right off the bat perform really well because it's hard to like marketed on an SEO end and all that stuff. And it was also a thing of like, Ian's probably going to say a whole bunch of stuff that I'm not going to know about enough to edit, or not be able to find the exact thing that he's talking about to visualize what he's talking. So like that happened with the Dr. Stone thing, right? Where he was like, he mentioned early part of the game that was like, this would be the tutorial. It's like from episode 1 or whatever. It's like, how am I going to find a clip from episode 1, dude? They're not like, not going to be something I could just find. Like, there's going to be like all these videos of people that making their freaking like, like anime on YouTube or just any show. They'll do like a border, like this like really big like wallpaper X thing, and then in the top right corner or top left corner, it's like a 360p frame of the. So it doesn't get copyright claimed and stuff.
And it says like no copyright infringement in the description, so they can totally.
So it's not intended, but it's in there.
Exactly. It's like I can't use that in the video, dude. So like that sort of thing. But
you should have used one of those just to like shout out.
Yeah, just to be like, yeah, man, I know what you got. I know the struggle, dude. I know, fellow kids.
Yeah. So my only thought on, I mean, I had little bits of thoughts on all the ideas. The only thing that would have been fun for me, My Hero Academia, same idea as you were saying, pretty much, but do it in like early days of, well, or maybe not even similar, like before the school was founded, maybe, or like early days of people are just finding out about quirks and stuff, and when it's maybe more like
when
X-Men
it was
kinds of
X-Men.
days.
Yeah, I was
Yes,
going to say,
right.
like when it was X-Men. See, that was another video that like freaking popped off out of nowhere. Like I made that video and it did fine.
Which one?
And then like I did a My Hero video where it was like
gotcha.
talking about how it's influenced by American media.
Yeah.
Obviously comic books and stuff like
Right.
that. And like it came out and it got like, I don't know, 500 views or something stupid. And then like a year later it got like 20,000. And then like that was like one of the videos that like got picked up in different playlists and like blog sites and stuff like that. So our attention time was crappy. And also our channel changed as far as like theming. So I was like, there's no reason to have this up live or public or not public. Yeah, public because it's unlisted.
Yeah. Well, here's some comments for the video. We'll chat about them. Benji890 said, an Avatar game would be so cool. Isn't there a fan game in the works? Other than that, I'd like the idea you're proposing. I agree the combat mechanics need to be right or else it wouldn't be a good. Also, Full Metal Alchemist game would be interesting, but they would really have to nail the combat system as that could be easy to screw up. It needs to be able to fit, and I like Ian's idea. I don't know about Dr. Stone game, but I'd be open to it if it's executed well. The idea of different tribes would be interesting, but I'd rather watch the anime. Sorry, Ian. Another great video.
Nice. I've never seen Dr. Stone.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it.
That's another one that I know of because it's like one of the recent ones. Like it's like the thing that was like after, like I think it was like after Demon Slayer even. It was like either right before or right after that was like taken off. So I was like, yeah, no, I didn't see. I still haven't seen Demon Slayer. So like, yeah, I'm definitely haven't seen that show. So I don't know enough to be like, yeah, man, that idea makes sense. The combat needs to be like this, sort of thing. So
yeah,
I don't know. But yeah, cool. I think that it's so dumb that there's no freaking Avatar game. It's so stupid.
There's a lot of things like that. Like there's the other way around. Dragon's Dogma is getting a Netflix adaptation or whatever, and I bought Dragon's Dogma a while ago, but I haven't started it yet. It was on sale, so I was like, I'm gonna get it. But and like more video game to TV show to video game crossovers would be good, where they actually take the other one seriously, like the Castlevania anime or whatever, and those kinds of things where they're like, let's actually think about how to do the Detective Pikachu. Come on.
Oh, that was great. I love Detective Pikachu.
So good. I loved it so much.
Because I mean, it doesn't work with everything. There's not every anime or show or movie or whatever that I would be like, yo, put that in a game or whatever. But Avatar would fit so perfectly in a game. Like it does not make sense that it's not a game.
No,
at 100%. All. Or a good game, I should say.
Right. Next comment is from Devil Luke, who said, great video. Good. You guys are what, great video. You guys are what Nintendo enthusiasts used to be. Cool. There you go. I would like to see Team Ninja work on another wanna be the strongest in the world. I don't know what that is, but a familiar of Zero open world game done by Monolith Soft as the 5th season of the show. Last is Animal Crossing type game, but with Urusei Yatsura having Ataru going around city doing missions from the episodes of the anime.
See, this is the type of stuff that I thought Ian was gonna like drop on me. I was like, I've never heard of this anime in my life.
No clue.
But like, I'm down, dude.
If you think it's a good idea,
whatever,
probably it's a good idea. That's what
I'm
I'm assuming.
If you want to give us further elaboration on like this is how the game would play and this is what the characters are like pitch it to us like it's a game that's not a licensed property.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we can check out that actual anime for property and stuff like that. Like
I love the kind of games where it's just like monotonous stuff. Like Animal Crossing, Stardew Valley. I love the bits in Persona where you're just like at the school and chilling with your friends and trying to make them like you more, or going to work at the shop, or going to eat a burger.
I think the nice thing, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I just want a slice of life anime game.
The nice thing with those is that like, not every minute has to wow you because you're not expecting to be wowed every minute. So you can like throw in surprises and like all sorts of things, but like the base, as long as the base game all interacts together right, then like the other bits are, you know, you can make it be fun and surprising by doing the other stuff. So it's not to say that it's easy, but yeah, that's Stardew Valley is great too.
It's true.
Cool said the following: let's hope the like I left on this video doesn't plague my recommended with anime. A lot of anime games weirdly just end up being only on PlayStation. J-Stars, Jump Force, Gintama, and I think Fairy Tail as well. That's probably a joke. I think Gintama and Fairy Tail would be great on the Switch, since Gintama is a Dynasty Warriors style game and Fairy Tail is a turn-based JRPG. I love your idea about Avatar, but it would sell. But would it really sell all that well if you take away the main characters? It could, but the show has always been about the characters, and that's what people love. Seeing these specific, well-written characters grow. They can always adapt the Avatar comics if they don't want to tell stories everyone has seen. Great video as always.
I think the world of Avatar makes it easy to promote the game using the characters.
Yeah.
Because the characters never really go away. Like, Aang is still a part of the Legend of Korra, right? So I think that they could very much so still use the same imagery and iconography and characters and stuff like that, and even have those characters make cameos in certain ways.
I mean, it's also like
you playing as that character. For
what it's worth, Avatar isn't the name of the main character. It's the it's the concept order. So in a similar way, it wouldn't be disingenuous to be like Avatar, blah 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 blah, and then have it be even Aang not be in it at all, but it's the same world. As opposed to like if you're like, it's a Batman game and Batman doesn't show up at all, it's just Robin, but you're like, well, so it's not really a Batman game, but you just needed to say Batman so that people would get the idea. I feel like
and on like a gameplay level, right? Like it's something that would, like, again, if this was like not a licensed property, it was just a thing that you were trying to pitch to somebody. I think that removed from the characters, the most unique thing about Avatar is the world. And not removed from including the characters. The most unique thing about Avatar is the world. Whereas I said in the same video, like My Hero, the most unique part about that world is the characters, because there's other properties that have the same type of world. We talked about X-Men, where people even have the exact same powers. That's not really a case outside of Avatar.
And I think the last thing too is like, it could be fun to do an Avatar game like that in a similar like Metroid kind of way, where you start out with all your powers as Aang. Aang dies, and then you play as the next Avatar who's just learning all this stuff,
right? And that's why I thought I was like talking about, like, it would be cool if you like each have your own avatar, and then it's like specific to how you play, an MMO, or, like whatever your stats are and stuff like that, because like that's a big part of
just crosscode
of that lore. Because in Avatar, it's like, okay, you're born in the Fire Nation, so that means that obviously you learn how to firebend first, and then you got to learn how to airbend, and then like you go through that whole thing, and then there's, because you're a firebender, you struggle to learn how to waterbend because it's counter to what your natural inclination is, right? So they could like gamify the lore in that way.
To where you have things that make stats in one go up while the other goes down, and so like you have to.
And it's a water cooler max, because like that way it's not a thing of like, all right, I'm Aang, it's really hard for me to become a firebender. It's hard for me too to become a firebender, right? Whereas if we had a different thing where it's like, man, I started in the Fire Nation, it's easy to firebend, like that sort of, like, I think that would make the game a lot more interesting.
That would be cool. Next comment is from Weiya, who said, I honestly believe a 3D world Astro Boy based from the 1980s anime and the manga as well would be sweet. I also hate to say it, but Avatar is not an anime. But if we go by your logic, then I would also like to see a Boondocks game, just because why not?
It's 100% an anime. I like, that's not at this point, like, I mean, it never really was an argument, but it's
Mhm.
definitely not an argument because and I replied to somebody's comment about that. I was like, I said, imagine arguing with somebody that lived in Japan that was informed by Japanese natives
Mhm.
the meaning of the word anime and telling them that they're wrong.
Yeah.
Imagine that, like that's wild, dude.
Yep.
So it's like, I don't know, if a Japanese kid tells me that their favorite anime is SpongeBob, and then the teachers around me that are adults are like, yeah, dude, that's totally an anime. I'm like, well, I guess it's anime, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like, it would be like a German cartoon, us not calling it a cartoon because like they don't have that word,
Right.
like that. That's not how words work.
Yep. And then the last comment from Soul 2004 is says, I'd like a port/remaster of the High School DxD game to be on Switch. It was originally Japanese exclusive on 3DS and Vita. Deserved better, to be honest. Also, Crunchyroll, Netflix, and Disney Plus should come to Switch, in my opinion.
I didn't even know that was a game. And it shocks me kind of that it was on 3DS. Like that's kind of wild.
Yeah, I don't even know what it is.
That game, I mean, that show is like borderline hentai crap. Like that show is not okay.
Yeah, that always surprises me that the 3DS has 18 plus type stuff or whatever.
Yeah, like that's wild. Like oh my god, I always forget what this game is called, but somebody commented about one in this game in like a Wolf Den stream or something like that. The Ninja Girls game that's like it's like always on, and there's like multiple on like 3DS and PlayStation, and now there's one on Switch. I think there's two on Switch. There's like one that's like a pinball game, and then the other one that's just like a creep simulator.
I don't even know.
Oh my god,
Yeah,
I can't. Somebody's going to know in the comments. It's that. But that game surprised me, but only sort of, because it's like relatively tame. But like this shocks me because like this is like full on hentai crap.
Yeah,
like,
man.
I don't know. Maybe the ninja thing it gets there, but I know the advertising for High School DxD is hentai level. I don't even need to see the show.
For what it's worth, I got an email from like from when we went to PAX and we get emails and stuff like that. There was one of them that was 2 games coming to Switch that I was like, oh yeah, that's just straight up like hentai stuff.
Yeah.
Like just from their names alone, I was like, all right, there's that for you. But whatever.
It's wild, dude.
But that's it for comments from our video. And now the last bit, Q&A. And I realized, Steve, we didn't really tell you that like our podcast, we go a lot longer than Podcast does. And it is late for you.
I'm sorry.
If at any point you need to leave, just let us know. Okay.
No, well, we record the main podcast and then After Dark straight after. So I'm used to going long, and we record an hour later than you guys start.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, cool. Then we're good. So, but even if you'd wanted to leave, you had to stay for this next part because it involves you specifically. I asked a question for podcast.
I like that you gave him an out. You're like, you can leave anytime.
I was gonna say you can leave, but you'll have to do this first. There's not much you have to do with this, but on the podcast, you called for Q&A. I asked the following question. I said, Steve, by the time the podcast airs, we will have already been on directly to you, which is now, and the recording will be up, but right now you haven't been. So without absolutely any context, you make your guess as to whether you'll agree with me or AJ, and you'll find out why on directly.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Are you talking about?
Oh, you're about to know. Don't even spoil. Yeah, it's exactly what you think.
Okay.
My guess was, and I said I was going to say with you, because I thought it might have been something to do with Pokemon or Smash.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Either of which I'm not interested in, but I know AJ is massively. So that's why I said Parker. That was my logic.
But no, that's not what it is.
Yeah. I think because it's my opinion, I'll give my point first, and you can give a counterpoint, AJ. It has nothing to do with video games whatsoever. This is a long-standing thing.
Like the thing.
This is a thing for every guest now. We need to keep a tally. Somebody go back, listen to all the other guests, find out who's on whose side.
There's like podcasts where it's like their thing is like, do you believe in ghosts, like that sort of thing, and this is our do you believe in ghosts, so like, or aliens, or
it is the following. It's very simple. I theoretically like pears. This is a running thing.
Theoretically, have you never tried a pear?
Stick with it. Stick with it.
Good question.
Just let them explain.
But it's this. It's that I've had really good pears before, but more often than not, they're either mealy or like too crunchy or don't have quite enough flavor. But when the flavor's right or the texture's right or whatever, like then I'm like, oh yeah, pears are great. But again, more often than not, they fail on one of those sides. So I theoretically like pears because I like the things when they're doing it well, but often than not, they don't. So that's my stance. But AJ thinks that that's the craziest thing in the universe.
I totally get that.
I think that to have that qualifier where you're like, I theoretically like said thing, and it's not like there's never been a time where you liked it or anything like that. You just think that maybe in a different world I can like. There's no point of you saying you theoretically like something, especially when the qualifier is like, if it's good, then I like it. You know, like if the pizza's not burnt, I like it. If it's not frozen, I like it. But I like I'm just going to say I like pizza. I'm not going to tell you that I don't like it when it's burned or when it fell on the ground or whatever. Like I'm going to assume that you assume when I tell you I like a thing, it's when it's a good version of that thing. Even if the I don't know, like yield ratio of like a high quality version of that thing.
I think that would be my qualifier for almost any of the things. If there was something where over 50% of the time it's bad, then I'd qualify. Otherwise, it'd be like,
but if that's the case, then how come you're not like, theoretically, like, I like the NES, you know, because half of those broke, you know, like nobody's like, I like the Xbox. I like the Xbox 360 in theory, you know. It's like just because every single one of those red ringed, I like it in theory. It's like, no, I like the Xbox 360, and I'm gonna assume that you have a high enough level of intelligence to know that I'm not saying I like it when it's broken, you know, like.
So there you go. I won't give any more counterpoints or anything, but so now, Steve, which side of the fence would you prefer to fall on? And everything's okay.
I think I would be on Parker's side because I would say that you need to say you like pears. But then I've had this issue myself because my favorite fruit is grapes. I really like grapes, but they've got to be perfect. They've got to not be squidgy. They've got to be the right size.
But when you tell people that you like grapes, do you tell people that you like grapes, or do you just say I like grapes? Because
I say I like grapes, and then someone will offer me grapes, and then I seem rude because I don't want them because they're not right. It's like,
which is why I qualified on the front end. Exactly.
Yeah, you have to do it.
So I feel like we're at an impasse here because I'm not saying that like. You're basically saying you agree with us both then. Right? Like you said, like in practice, you do what my logic is, where it's like I like cheeseburgers.
Yeah,
period.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, like, if you like cheeseburgers, but you only like cheeseburgers with a specific type of cheese and a specific type of bun, and like the mayo and the relish,
though,
like
with
put on
burgers,
a
like
specific
multiple
place.
People, like if you like burgers well done, right? You're a crazy.
You're wrong,
person,
first of all.
Right? But like you like burgers, period, right? But if somebody gives you a rare burger, you're gonna be like, I don't want this. But you're not going to say I like burgers when you're like I like burgers. Period.
I think it's more of just like I like to avoid as many awkward situations.
You don't want conflict.
Exactly. It's like this way you can like prep for it on the front end without having to deal with the repercussions.
When you say you like video games, you're not like I like video games in theory. I theoretically like video games.
Because
I get like conversation as well. Like you go, I like video games.
There are thousands of video games that you don't like. There are thousands. So when there's being generous, there's 10 permutations of pairs that you don't like, but there's 3 that you do or whatever, right? Like, why does it make more sense to say I theoretically like pairs than it does to be like I theoretically like video games? Like I don't get it.
Because I'm really smart and all that stuff. We'll move on from this, but This is interesting. This is a good median. A good median.
Have you equated a specific breed of pair as to one you like, or
That's a good
do you
question.
not know?
No, I haven't even tried.
Oh.
Although I know that there are those pairs that like at the stores here, they'll have like white things around them, like sleeves around them. And I don't know what's going on with those. I'll find
That
a
sounds
picture.
a bit wasteful.
It
Like
does.
let's put skin around nature's natural skin.
Yeah, pair with.
That sounds gross.
I like Williams pairs.
I don't know. Yeah, okay. I've never specifically. I'll have to go out of my way to figure out what's what. I'll do some. Also,
when you ask for them, when you inquire about these pairs, you got to start it with, "Hey, listen, I theoretically like pairs."
Is this gonna be? But also, anybody who's listening, if you're so sick of us talking about theoretical pairs, please say so, because I think it's a fun topic. But also,
that at least the vocal people like it because like it's a bit even for them. Like they even reference it.
So, and it's fun to talk to new people about, because every time we legitimately get new insight from every single guest that we talk about it with. Steve, it's fascinating to hear your thoughts on this. So I had a great time. All right, moving on to the real questions from other people, not from me and my pairs. From Twitter, Max Wright,
Who's that?
Max.
New person.
Oh, side note, I mailed Max something one time because he asked me to get something for him at PAX. And so I did. I sent it to him and he reimbursed me for it. And it was a wonderful exchange. But on the package slip, I wrote, instead of Max Wright, I wrote like Maxwell S. Esquire or Maxwell S. Wright Esquire or something like that. Like just fancied it up. But the address was right. So, he'd get it. And the interaction that I had with the like guy working at the mailman thing, he was like, "So is Maxwell S. Esquire, is he something?" And I was like, him saying it out loud just made the moment so funny to me. And I couldn't say, "Oh, that's not his real name" on this mail thing. That's like official, federal things or whatever. So I was
declaration.
So I was like, yes. And then left and cracked up on my way home. But he asked the following question. If you could paper any other Nintendo franchise other than Zelda, what would it be and why? I'll be scoring you.
I'm just always going to say Ice Climbers because I want that world to like mean something, dude. Like it could, but it doesn't. The original game sucks, but the characters are neat, Do
you think, what are you guys' thoughts on, does this mean paper it in genre as well or just aesthetics? You know what I mean?
I hope just aesthetics.
I don't
want every game to have like 3 giant circles that I have to navigate through in order to get to the middle.
I was thinking the whole thing. I'm not thinking that. I mean, I'm not saying that this needs to happen, but like if Nintendo asks me, if there's like, dude, it doesn't matter. Like it's going to happen. Like whatever you can't tell me no. I'm going to make what I'm going to make. But if you like, what franchise, dude? I would say Ice Climbers because like, how else are we going to get a game from them?
And that's a good roundabout way to get.
Then I'll learn about the polar bear's plight. Like I'll learn what the penguin has going on in his life, dude. And then they'll have like a freaking quirky, like I don't know, like a lion that or no, like something that's like very much like a toucan that somehow lives in this freaking tundra or whatever.
Are they allowed to modify the characters from the Ice Climbers world, or is that are they just like set in stone now?
Depends who's making it. If EPD's making it, they can do whatever they want.
And they don't even have any stationery to use because it's just up in the North Pole, so it's just icicles. You're just fighting a larger and larger icicle.
That's true. True.
Man, I don't. I mean, I'm looking around at different paraphernalia of mine to see if I have any ideas that come to mind. Like, I don't feel like it would work well for like Star Fox or Metroid or anything. I mean, Zelda could have been cool, but you said no Zelda.
It's true.
Maybe Donkey Kong.
I would like to see them bring back, and I've been talking about it for ages, the Wario Land games. I could see that working
absolutely.
in paper.
Yep.
And to be honest, they need to give Luigi something to do. Waluigi something to do because he's not been in anything recently. So maybe he could get in on the action.
I think that's a great call. Yeah, Wario and Waluigi doing some shenanigans would be very fun in paper style.
I'm down.
Bianca Wicks asks, what kind of cake are you?
Ice cream.
Lemon.
Is ice cream cake a cake?
Yeah. Oh, you mean,
I
like
mean, some percentage
it's a
of it
kind
is.
of cake? I don't know. It's not a flavor of cake, but she asked what kind of cake. So
Yeah, she didn't ask me a flavor. Kind is broad.
Fruit then for me.
nice. A question from I'm stay inside said, what does origami stand for? So ORIGAMI.
Let's
We're doing this together.
We are.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
take a
yeah,
turn.
yeah,
One
yeah.
at a time. Steve, start us out.
Original.
Oh,
Who's next?
then AJ.
Race cars.
Ignite.
Green.
Avocados.
Mostly.
Inside.
Original race cars, ignite green avocados, mostly inside. That's great. We did it.
You can't
Good
say
job,
it's a
team.
lie, dude.
You can't. No, it's true. All right, and then questions from Discord, and we got 5 of these, and then we'll be out of here. John Francis asks us, Paper Mario related. Number 1, how many people do you think have given the paper? How many people do you think have given the Paper Marios after Paper Mario / 1,000 Year Door a fair shake? And number 2, okay, yeah, we'll do that first.
Okay, yeah, let's break it one by one. I think a lot of people have. I think people that like fell in love with that and that became like Paper Mario in their mind, 0, absolutely 0. Like they came into the game hating it and wanting to hate it. So I think that those are like 2 very separate people. Where it's like for most people that buy these games, like it's a game by game thing. They don't have like this set in stone idea of like what a franchise is and can be and should be. And then there are people that have that in their head. So.
Yeah. And probably, I would guess, and I don't know, that they gave Super Paper Mario, like they would give the next game a fair shake
like
up until a certain
thing,
point, and then they'd be like, well, you know, they mess it up, and then after that point, everything else is kind of downhill. Yeah.
I don't even know. Now I think about what you just said, I don't know if I agree with that. I think that they probably.
I don't know what the marketing was for
they probably played Super Paper Mario and came into it not liking it, but they didn't know that they wouldn't like it because they didn't know it wasn't 1,000 years.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. But early on, at some point, they're like, "This isn't the thing," and then at that point, it was biased.
Right.
Yeah.
They came in thinking it was exactly that. It wasn't, and then they were mad. Versus they came in knowing it was a new thing. We're like, hey, maybe I'll like it anyway, and then they ended up not liking it.
Yep. And then the second part of the question is, this one kind of relates to another question I asked a while ago, but do you think nostalgia blinds a lot of people to even seeing good in newer games of Paper Mario / in general?
Yeah.
I think nostalgia works against Paper Mario more often than not.
Well, I think that's what he's asking. Yeah, exactly. Do you think it blinds people to?
Okay. I thought he was saying that like that it blinds a lot of people to seeing good in it despite it not being that.
Gotcha.
You even see good in this.
See, I read it as the reverse. Like,
I think
that's probably what it is. That's probably what it is. Right. 100% for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I tweeted something about that earlier this week, but that same kind of idea of like, I think there's in franchises that, you know, like things that people hold on to that they're like, this is what the franchise is. And then that thing just doesn't have any chance of winning that person back unless it's that thing again.
I think it's mostly because like, it's this idea that if they don't like it, they can convince other people to not like it. It'll fail. Nintendo will see the error of their ways and then make a new game exactly like the old game. But like in reality, if the new thing that they try fails, they'll
probably
either
just stop doing it.
They'll stop doing it completely and never return to it again. Or B, they'll stop doing it for a while. They'll pantomime like it's Super Paper Mario. I mean, it's Super Mario Party. It's, hey, dude, we're giving you what you want, but like not completely though. We're still putting our own spin on it and doing new stuff.
It's true. So there you go. Duncan asked, since it's basically confirmed that the Paper Mario franchise is going to continue to be a sandbox for them to throw everything out and then reimagine it every time they want to make a new entry, it's got me thinking, What would it be like if every other franchise was treated this way? If they did this with something like Pokemon or Metroid, what do you think those franchises would look like now? Do y'all think they could benefit from such a management method? Here's my thought real fast. I think that the things that they're throwing out there's things that are in the games that fans see as core parts of it, like the battle mechanics, that kind of thing, that Nintendo doesn't see as core things of it. I mean, this is from an outsider's point of view for Paper Mario for sure.
Yeah.
But it seems like specifically with that one, a lot of fans are like, 1,000-year battle mechanics. You got to do it like that. And Nintendo's like, that's the thing we want to experiment with. Whereas on the flip side, Nintendo's like this, like the humor and the kind of world and atmosphere. That's the thing that needs to stick. And for other people, like, well, we could take or leave some of that. Like we want some of, so I feel like
at least a little bit of all of them. That's exactly what it is. It's like the through line with every Paper Mario game is that it's like the dialogue and like how the story is told and like all that stuff. That's the part of the game that never changes.
So I think
in a good way,
probably
then the battle system.
Yeah,
changed. I mean, it's like they did it the same for the first two games, and then they're like, hey, but like, what if we did something different?
So that said, it's possible that Pokemon and Metroid and stuff are actually changing more, like as much in those regards as Paper Mario is, but they're not reinventing. I don't know. It's hard to give kind of a wide.
I don't know if
Metroid.
I see what you're saying. I don't know if Metroid does, or it did. Like Metroid Prime definitely changed in that way, right? But like on a game-to-game basis, I think probably Pokemon.
I mean, Other M, that's pretty different too.
Yeah, that's true. But I think that's even a different case because it's rip. I think those are different cases because they're not like. It's not Paper Mario in the sense that Intelligent Systems makes every Paper Mario game.
Right, yeah.
Metroid Prime's not made by the same studio that made, Super Metroid or, that made Federation Force. I think with Pokemon, they do that, right? Where it's like the biggest changes that they make are in the battle system. And then everything else is like, we'll do what we can, I think that's exactly what they do. I don't think they can make sweeping changes in the way that it feels like they do with the battle system of Paper Mario and stuff like that. In a game like Pokemon, I think they possibly could with Metroid because it's not 1,000+ characters that they need to make changes for every single time.
Right.
So I think it's game specific. It could work, but it depends on what the franchise and game is and stuff.
I mean, like on a different side, what about like Animal Crossing or whatever? Do we feel like because arguably they do some of that with like the crafting system. Like that's a very new thing.
Right. But they didn't.
But the core of it's the
everything
same,
out.
right?
Yeah. But then I think Paper Mario kind of, when you look at it from an outsider's perspective, looking in, it's you could still identify that it's from the same franchise. You wouldn't go, "Oh, this is totally new. I have no idea where this fits in."
Yeah.
You'd go, "This is clearly a Paper Mario game." You could look at all of them and say these are clearly Paper Mario games. They're just different.
Yeah, and it's the same thing for Pokemon and stuff.
And it's the same thing for Zelda, which has changed with every generation. Seemingly every single game changes. You look at Wind Waker and Twilight Princess to Ocarina of Time to all of the other games that came before it. Everything just changed every single time. And Breath of the Wild was a huge departure from what they did before.
Yeah, it was.
And I think
it can change in a good way, but also in a bad way.
I think every game that Nintendo makes changes in that way because like when you zoom out and you don't like the cynical view is that none of them really make sweeping changes, or if they do on a cycle. Because even Zelda, right? There's the original Zelda cycle where it's like, the original Zelda. Zelda 2 was an anomaly, and then there's like Link to the Past, and then there's Ocarina of Time, and every game was modeled after Ocarina of Time until Breath of the Wild. And then there's like like Mario, it's like the original Mario, Super Mario World. I mean, well, Mario 3, Mario 2, and then Super Mario World, and then you go to 64, and then every game is modeled in some way after 64 and stuff, like that whole thing. But if you're a fan of those franchises, you know that the changes that are made to each one of these games is deeper than that. If you're a fan of the game in its entirety and not one aspect of it.
Yeah.
So like for Paper Mario, the problem is there's people that love the battle system of Paper
Mhm.
Mario. They're not Paper Mario fans. They
Yeah.
like the battle system. So like when freaking South Park Stick of Truth came out, they were amped. They were like, yo, this is hype. They're the people that are buying Bug Fables, you know?
Uh-huh.
Whereas like there's people on the other end of the spectrum that don't really care about that, but they like Mario and
Yeah.
like Bob, right? Bob's not going to buy Bug Fables because he doesn't give a
Yeah.
crap about the battle system. That doesn't
About
matter.
Mr. Bug. He
You know,
doesn't care about
like,
Mr. Bug.
He cares about Mario being put
Yeah.
in a different context, you know,
Mhm.
and them being able to interact with the world differently.
Yeah. And I think like, I mean, it kind of, you know, like I feel bad for in some situations too, where if you love Flood and that's like your favorite thing that Mario ever did, they've
you're
never
never gonna
touched
see
Flood
that
again, you know. But like
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing with that's a more niche example than, you know, than with Paper Mario, but it's similar kind of idea where
Yeah, but look
if
at
that
Galaxy.
was-
Like that was so totally different to Sunshine,
Mhm.
and then they just left it. They did Galaxy and Galaxy
Yeah.
2, and it's like, we're done with that, and
Yeah.
moved on to something new.
Yep.
Yeah. I hope it would be cool if some of that comes back to. I mean, there was a tiny bit of that in Odyssey in like 2D sections where there was like a couple 2D sections that had the, you know, gravity type stuff in there, but
Mhm.
it would be nice for that kind of stuff to come back.
I feel
But
like
it
they-
just doesn't, you know, they just like moving on to the
kind of
next
like
thing.
Mario Maker to them, where it's like they have different tools where it's
Uh-huh.
like they bring back certain things from games, like the freaking
Mm-hmm.
parts with the timed platforms or whatever, the like the beeping red and blue platforms.
Yeah,
That's
right,
a
right.
Mario Galaxy thing.
Mhm.
And that comes back
Mhm.
in other games. They don't really bring back the gravity stuff that often, but
Yep.
there's parts from it that they take out of it and say, well, we'll try that in this game. And all that.
Yep. Good question. Next one. This is from Grimhane, who said, "Paper or plastic? Paper plates or regular plates?
I think that's another thing that we should probably answer one by one.
Paper or plastic?
Paper or plastic? It depends on the situation.
Very depends on the situation.
Yeah,
I don't
see.
use a paper fork very often.
Right. Or I hate freaking paper straws, dude. Like,
Oh,
I
man.
I love the environment and
yeah.
everything. Like,
Yeah.
and that's why it depends on the situation. Because like if I'm not in a rush, or like if it's not a straw, you know, like I'll opt for paper. But like in situations where I'm in a rush or I need like durability, dude, I'm going plastic.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I think it's hard to. You can't really give a sweeping answer for that, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
We banned plastic straws here, and it was one of the
Wow.
best things we ever did, and one of
So
the
what-
saddest days of my life.
So is it all paper straws now?
Yeah, they're all horrible. Apart from
Oh.
Costco. Costco have these really cool,
Costco?
like,
I didn't know there was Costco. In
yeah,
the
we
UK.
do. We have loads of Costco's.
Oh.
They have these really cool biodegradable straws that aren't made of plastic but feel like plastic when they're in your mouth, and then they don't like go soggy. Like that's the worst thing. Have you tried
Yeah,
drinking a
that's why I hate
milkshake
paper straws,
through
dude. I
a
hate
paper
them.
straw?
I
It's
haven't.
impossible.
I don't want
You have to
to.
get through. You get through like 6 of them. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
We've got like metal straws that we have, and
yeah,
we
that's what
use
I've
those a
invested
lot.
in now.
And they're pretty great.
I feel like
But
my
they murder
granddad, though, like,
people,
with the
dude.
pipe
People
cleaner.
die.
what?
Dumb people die, dude. Because of
For real
murder.
though,
Because
is that a
of-
thing?
At least 2 people have died. I guarantee it.
All right, well,
This
there you go.
year.
Is- what was I gonna say? Metal straws. Yeah, I don't know. There it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yep,
Straws
metal
and
straws.
stuff.
Mhm.
In any
Yeah.
case, paper plates. So then, paper plates or regular plates? Yeah, regular plates for
Yeah,
sure.
regular
Unless
plates.
it's a barbecue, maybe I'll
Yeah.
do.
Yeah,
like, got
paper plates for
tons of
people you don't like that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah. There's definitely situations, but for the most part, yeah, regular plates. And then this one, interesting. We aren't going to be able to prove it on air, but how far can you get a paper airplane to fly? Which one of the 3 of you can make the coolest looking and farthest flying paper airplane? Bonus points for Mario references on the plane.
I really can't do. I'm not good at paper planes.
I feel like this
AJ,
is
how good are you?
I'm okay at paper planes. you
Oh,
know. I used
well
to-
then, guys, I'm the best paper plane maker. Like, you won't even, whatever the world record is, I could just beat that.
Nah,
So,
Okay,
definitely
he's
me.
lying, dude. Parker has never made a paper plane.
Oh, I want
I'm
to see a video of you two doing this.
convinced.
Are you two good at origami? Like, is that something you two are at all interested
I've
in?
learned- Yeah. go
So I had this friend. I had a friend. He was a foreign exchange student. His name's Nye. And which is funny because my niece's name is Nye, but Nyla
Oh,
name was
nice.
just Nye. And he taught me how to make the swan. That's it.
That's the only thing I can do is the swan
Yeah.
and the
the swan, and they're like also like dragon claw situation.
dragon claw.
Yeah,
I learned how to make a lotus leaf or lotus flower or something like that
that's
once,
cool.
but it's been a really long time and I don't remember anymore.
And I used to, when I was a kid, I used to make water balloons out of them all the time. You make a thing, you like
out
blow
of
it up,
paper.
and then you can put water in them. And we used to do it in school. And we would throw them across the classroom at each other. It was great.
What? That's crazy.
Oh my god!
I didn't know you could do that.
I feel like in American schools you'd get arrested.
Yeah, well, and it reminds me of like yes. In Paper Mario, also pretty early on, you get some items that are like a withered fire flower or something like that, and you have to put it in water. Which I'm like, no, it would just get soggy.
Yeah,
that's wrong. So do the opposite. I'm pretty sure, but I don't know. It's their world. They know what's going on. Next question is part of the same question, but still Grimhain. Is Paper Mario good for the environment if it requires paper for every new life created with it? Would Mario and Princess Peach's kid be recycled paper? Who's saying Mario and Princess Peach are going to have a kid?
It's true. She ghosted this man on live video game, on live CGI, dude.
Mm-hmm.
She's never going to marry this man.
Never.
The most he'll ever get is that kiss on the nose, man, and a cake.
Yeah, but he needs to seriously just move on and find someone else at this point. Like
he does.
He's tried to save her like 20 times, and
she's gaslighting him, dude. It's not okay. She's gaslighting Mario and Bowser.
Accurate. Is it Pauline? Is it Rosalina? If it's not Princess Peach, or maybe it just isn't interested in love at all.
Somebody else. Maybe just stop going for the princess.
Maybe he and Bowser just need to finally, figure out.
It's a toxic relationship. They enable each other. He needs to stop going for princesses because then they get like complacent and they're like, oh, I'll let this plumber dude rescue me, and he's like, well, I could just rescue them and they'll love me for it, propinquity and all that stuff.
Propinquity? What even is that word?
Look it up.
That's fancy. I don't know that word.
I seriously want you to look it up now on the show.
Here we go. Propinquity, the state of being close to someone or something. Proximity.
Close kinship.
Cool.
So basically it's like I'm around this person all the time. Like that's like work wives and like that sort of thing. Like getting in relationships at school and stuff like that. You like them more subconsciously because you always see them. Like that sort of thing.
It's just familiarity breeds whatever that is or something.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think the saying is the opposite of that, but
yeah, probably so.
But yeah, man, just cut the cord, dude. It's toxic. But also to answer his actual question, I'm going to say no, because not everything in Paper Mario is made out of paper. It's like there's some cardboard stuff,
It's true.
So
who's to say? Next question from Cowboy said, this one I thought was particularly interesting. If Nintendo were to design a games as a service online massive multiplayer game, what franchise would you like to see them base it off of, and what would it look like in your opinion? First party games only. Pokemon, in my opinion, is a first party game because they part own it. So we can say
Pokemon's
it should be Pokemon.
That's the freest answer. Dude.
That is very much so. So I mean, if it's not Pokemon, because that one does seem like just a gimme.
Yeah.
Here's the one that I thought of.
Ice climbers, no.
Star Fox, like No Man's Sky kind of situation.
Yeah, that could work. Yeah, I wouldn't mind the Zelda one either.
I would love it.
Zelda.
Yeah, that's the only problem.
It's got to be like time shifting. You've got to be able to.
You're
go
like
through
all
different
different.
times.
Are you like all different links? Like I'm the hero of trains. You're the hero of time, and Parker is the hero of
microphones.
I think you just call it Hyrule or something. And it's not based in. You're not Link, but you're in that world, and you're doing different quests and missions.
Yo,
for people.
I'm gonna be a snot
You can go
kid.
do the dungeons.
I want to be the snot kid. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
You know what I'm talking about. You don't know who the snot kid is? The snot kid in Wind Waker.
Dude, that's Because as some of us know, I have yet to play Wind Waker.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it to come
You've
to Switch.
never seen the Snot Kid.
Nope. I bought Wind Waker on GameCube at
I want to look up Snot Kid. Wind
So you've
Waker.
never heard the sploosh sound
Yo,
either?
literally the first thing I started typing in Snot Kid, and the first thing says Snot Kid Zelda.
So when I was 13, I had just bought when we moved to Belgium, we just bought a GameCube because whatever. Bought a GameCube and tried to get some games for it. I got 1080 Avalanche because I wanted SSX Tricky and they didn't have that. So I got 1080 Avalanche and liked it a lot. Got Mario Kart Double Dash, and then at a flea market kind of thing, found somebody had Wind Waker, and I was like, cool, I want to play Wind Waker, and I bought it. I brought it home, and it was the disc for Ocarina of Time Master Quest, and I was like, I don't think that's Wind Waker because I didn't know
it. Wind Waker wrong.
Yeah, I was like, this is confusing, and I put it in. I was like, that looks just like Ocarina of Time, which I've already played before. But I was like, oh, well, I'll just play that. So I played that. And then pretty much I guess just didn't buy barely any more video games at that point. That's sort of when I just happened to not play very much stuff. But then, yeah, I now have Wind Waker on GameCube, but it probably is going to come to Switch. So at this point, I'm just waiting, I've waited this long. I can wait a little longer. But I'm looking at Snot Kid now. Let me find
the DM.
And the DM. Everybody look up Snot Kid. Oh, hey kid, you're snotty.
Yeah, that's Snot Kid, dude.
There we
He
go.
probably has an actual name, but I don't care to learn it.
Nah. Impossible. Last question is from Mega Man, who asked, Paper Mario for Smash? Question mark?
Yeah. No. Hard no.
It definitely
got
wouldn't be
enough
a super
Marios. We already have enough Marios. We already have enough Mario characters.
They could definitely make him interesting, but there's a lot.
No, he's not interesting because his name's Mario. He's not allowed.
And then the second half of his question, that's the actual last bit, is watching Bob's stream yesterday didn't get me too hyped as a new Paper Mario player to pick it up. Why would newcomers to the series pick it up?
I think it's if you find the world to be endearing. I don't think that buying into the whole the battle system is easy, is the way to look at the game, because that's not the game that they're selling you. The game is not about the battles. That's not what Paper Mario has ever really been about. So to buy it with that in mind, especially since they've even more so moved away from that idea by not even categorizing it as an RPG. It not only the whole thing about experience and stuff like that, which I think there's arguments there where it's experience isn't really gone. They just kind of replaced it and consolidated it with coins. Where it's it becomes this mental game of what do I use my coins for? Do I use them to make puzzles easier and use the Toad crowd thing, or do I use it to buy items or stuff like that? But I digress on my point. The whole point of the game is it's an action adventure game. It's the same thing with Mario. When you're playing Mario Odyssey, you're not all the battles are just jumping on the guy's head, Yeah. It's everything around that makes the game worthwhile. So go in expecting a Mario game with a story and a world that's better written, and that's what you'll get. Don't go in thinking that it's an RPG, because they never really thought of it in that way. That they even the traditional Paper Mario games, they never were freaking Final Fantasy games or whatever, right? They're just as much, less so, I would argue, RPGs as Pokemon.
Yep. Sounds good to me. And that's all of our questions. Steve, you already told us how to find you and stuff. Anything you want to say to close out things?
No, just thanks for having me. Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks for me. You can, if you like listening to me for some reason, you can listen to me more at lootpots.com. And yeah.
If you listening to Steve because he's great and cool, then listen to him on LootPots.
I can vouch for that. Also, whenever we listen to the podcast, my wife very much likes you, Steve. And like, I mean, she likes all the people on there, but she is like, Steve is the best. So, and not necessarily like the other ones are bad and Steve's better, but just in like, Steve's the best.
Oh no, I'm fine with that. I'll take it, and I'm gonna go back and
You
I'm
don't
gonna rub
gotta
it in.
coddle freaking. You know.
I play fair, but I'll
No,
not.
you're not playing fair. You're trying to stack the deck for other people that aren't Steve. You know,
I don't know
that's
what
not
that
fair.
means. Yeah.
If Steve's better, let him know.
There you go.
That's
It was great to
fair.
finally have you on. At this point, now we've had you and never had Pete. That's impossible.
Never
Max,
had Pete a single time.
So DJ's got to come on at some time, and then
We gotta
Pixel.
get Pixel. We gotta get Chloe.
But that's gonna be
There's
wild. I know
like
he's got a lot of stuff going on.
97 of you people.
Yeah.
I mean,
gotta
we
get
need
all
to get Pixel back on the
97.
show. at some
Yeah,
point.
right. Exactly.
All 97
Man alive.
LootPots.
But yeah,
members.
that's it from us. Hey, everybody, listen up. Like the video, share with your friends, and all the
Like,
rest of it.
comment, subscribe. You know.
Yeah. Actually,
Goodbye.
yeah. If you're not, side note, real quick,
Mhm.
if you're not actually subscribed to the YouTube channel, even if you only listen on audio format, if we can get more subscribers on the YouTube video, on the YouTube channel, that'll be helpful for us in the long run. So
It's
even if you listen-
true. Because
go do
then YouTube lets us do more stuff with the channel and whatnot. Also, if you only listen on audio services, maybe rate it on your audio service of choice because it helps with categorizing the show and helping other people find it.
Yeah.
Good times.
Mhm.
Okay. Have a good day. Bye bye. Yep. Goodbye.
Just do that.